Yes, and hello once again. I'm Max Ratt, and welcome to the Max Ratt Deconstruction Zone. Let's see, it's September 7th, 2013, and I got a show for you today. The topic of the show is a rather important one, I think. I've spent the last 3 weeks or more really, and over the past number of years, I've been investigating the situation of cancer. And the name of the show today will be Questioning Cancer. I'm just going to leave it at that for now. I got a long show. I got loads of clips. I got loads of information. I want to kind of try to get it all out there. We're questioning cancer on the show today, folks. I believe that the American medical system is totally broken and out of control, and we're going to go for that. But I know this is a very touchy subject. Everybody's been touched by cancer. My own father passed away from colon cancer years ago, and so we all have fears and emotions when it comes to things like this. I've been attacked for even raising the idea that maybe we should ask some more questions about this, but it's too late for that now. I'm going into this show. We're asking lots of questions. I'm going to try to lay out what I think is going on, and here's the show. So welcome aboard. Thanks for coming aboard the Max Ratt Deconstruction Zone. I'm Max Ratt on September 7th, 2013. Going to get the show started. Thanks for coming aboard.
Well, what about Max? What does Max think?
Today, 1 person out of 3 gets cancer in the course of their life.
I have cancer. Cancer? That sounds scary. How do they know that?
How do they know that? How do they know that? That was from a Charlie Brown special. And when I was a kid, there was nothing like this in Charlie Brown. It was it was the most depressing show I've ever seen. It was not even like a smile or a laugh on that show. Let's keep it moving. Charlie Brown special, where he says, how do they know that? That's what Linus asked the girl in the class who has cancer.
Cancer is a sometimes fatal disease caused by the abnormal growth and division of cells.
All right, that's a weird definition of sometimes fatal disease.
So let's say that you have a shadow on a mammogram. The doctor would say, go get a biopsy.
It's just a shadow, or it's an infection.
Okay, so a shadow on a mammogram is a reason to get. I would hope that that the science is a little bit more advanced than a shadow on a mammogram. But let's keep it going.
Each patient feeds an immense medical apparatus that employs hundreds of thousands of people and generates millions and millions of dollars for the medical and pharmaceutical industries.
Okay, the industry is gigantic. Needless to say, I don't think anybody would have any dispute with that.
The companies that make up the pharmaceutical industry are among the largest corporations in the world. Together, these businesses have come to be known as Big Pharma. In 2004, their combined global sales were over $500 billion, with Pfizer and Johnson & Johnson leading the pack.
$500 billion in 1 year. She said that was in 2004. Probably double that by now. I haven't checked it. Go check it yourself. But that's big, and that's global. But that's Big Pharma, and let's keep it moving.
The fortunes of Carnegie, Morgan, and Rockefeller financed surgery, radiation, and synthetic drugs. They were to become the economic foundations of the new medical economy.
There is a level of knowledge here about how everything works, and then there's a level of knowledge that the public are allowed to have.
My family have been involved in a number of enormously worthwhile philanthropies, but I believe that perhaps the most significant is the Rockefeller University and Rockefeller Hospital in that connection. I think going back even to grandfather and father, they would probably agree with that.
Okay, that's David Rockefeller himself. And yeah, you know, I think a lot of people think that the Rockefellers are mainly associated with, of course, banking and the oil business, but they are the preeminent and by far the largest powerhouse running the entire global healthcare and drug industries. So don't underestimate how that, you know, the power that they wield in that category. Or and when I say they, I mean, you know, is it one guy calling shots? No, probably not. But this is an organized mafia, if you will. We should keep it going from there. That was David Rockefeller saying that his father, and he says he calls him father and grandfather, like some twisted style that he uses or whatever. He said they would agree that that one of their greatest accomplishments is this Rockefeller University, which is right here in New York City. It's right up on New York Avenue over there. Passed it many times recently, even. It's very lush looking and very it's kind of like set off the street and back in like this. There's like a wooded area over there, and this is where the all the research for cancer comes out of there, and the eugenics laboratory at Cold Spring Harbor, which is now called just Cold Spring Harbor Laboratories, used to be called Eugenics Record Office. I'll keep you posted on that. I'm going to give you a definition of eugenics shortly. So now I found this clip on a show on the biography talking about John D. Rockefeller's father. His name was William Rockefeller.
William Rockefeller made a name for himself as an itinerant peddler. Today we'd call him a scam artist.
Calling himself a celebrated cancer specialist, Big Bill spent the 1830s and 40s roaming upstate New York, selling patent medicines and bogus cancer cures.
Okay, there you go. They were calling William Rockefeller a scammer. And he said in common terms these days you call him a scammer. And they said he was going around selling. He's been called a snake oil, and also been going around selling fake cancer cures. I wonder how far back the real information about cancer goes. They're telling you 1800s. I have a clip in the show about 1700s. As far as I can tell, it's pretty much in all since the 1900s, in the last 100 years or so. It's very difficult to go back further than that because all the information in the books and everything's skewed already for you not to get the proper information. So, okay, but for whatever it's worth, William Rockefeller's going around selling bogus cancer cures, they said. Keep it going.
Now you divide the square root of the illness by the hypotenuse of the patient's bankroll, and the first thing you know, you're a rich man.
So all of you are sitting here in the audience. Many of you have not been diagnosed with cancer, but I can tell you that probably, every single one of you are sitting there, and in your bodies are these little tiny areas that are just at the beginning or already cancer.
There's a professor, MD from the University of California who's telling everybody. She said I could tell you right. She's just looking in the audience. She says I could tell you right now every one of you has cancer. You know, whether you've been diagnosed with cancer, not everybody's carrying. And there's another thing that they'll jumble up for you. Is it a virus? Is it a genetic trait? And you know, people carriers of. I'm like, carrier sounds like you're contagious or something like that. All these. And it's everything. It's nothing, everything, and anything. Okay, but I don't want you to think that I'm carrying an agenda here. Let's just look at the facts here. Let's keep it going.
Look, the people out there in the audience, the lady there with the long ears, they're getting longer all the time, and the guy back there in the 17th row with a cute tomato, he's getting all fuzzy. Yeah, they've got it. Everybody out there's got rabbititis. Oh, Margaret, what a dope.
Cancers in animals occur the same way that they do in people, and they are affected by the same things. In other words, the environment that they live in, the food that they eat, the water that they drink, and the genetic makeup of the individuals all work together to give every individual, dog, cat, or person, a cancer risk.
Okay, every individual, dog, cat, or person. So cat is an individual, I guess. Well, then why don't we just go every individual insect or every individual animal of every single of all the zillions of types of species of animals we have. You know, I mean, but now it's just dog, cat, and humans are individuals, according to this guy. Again, and he's talking about pet cancer alone. He's like, pet cancer and human cancer is the same thing. I'll give you some of my thoughts on that. Keep it going.
Sometimes cancer cures itself. There is a rate of cancer, it goes away by itself. Some people didn't really have cancer. It was a misdiagnosis. Okay,
that's Dr. Dean Adele, who's had a regular TV show where he's saying, you know, sometimes cancer just goes away. Sometimes you've been misdiagnosed with it and you didn't even have it, and who knows? You never know. It's just so. And this is going to be a thread that you'll see throughout all of the propaganda in the mainstream. It's just. I mean, this doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense. Might be true. That nobody knows what's up with that and this and that. So and the solution they'll give you is like, yeah, just believe us. Just believe everything they tell you, because none of it makes any sense. You know, don't try to reason it out or break it down logically. God forbid, like that crazy lunatic Max Ratt does. You know, just trust me. And just believe me. You go with that. You know, you'll be much better off, and frankly, much more convenient than having to question things. You know, God forbid. But and then we'll just kill your parents and cut your testicles off and remove your wife's breasts, and everything will be fine. And sure, don't bother. Just trust me. It's I'm doing you a favor.
Janice didn't get cancer because of something she did wrong. It just happened.
Okay, so they're telling kids on Charlie Brown, cancer just happens, whatever that means. So a kid who's trying to get information, trying to ask questions, is just getting it flat out, like, it just happens. How's cancer happen, Daddy? What is cancer, Daddy? He's like, oh, something just happens to you, kid.
This is 1 million women per year in the United States get diagnosed with benign breast disease. It shouldn't be called disease. It's just benign breast observations.
Right, it shouldn't be. She's like 1 million women are diagnosed a year with benign breast disease. She says it shouldn't be called disease. It should be called benign breast, but it is being called disease. That's the problem here. Okay, and then benign breast disease means you don't have anything. So you have, it's like you have no sickness. You have you're healthy. I mean, healthy is now non-sickness disease. That's healthy. That's the Orwellian. So she's like, you have benign breast disease. We should just call it benign breast observations. I'm like, no, but then why are you calling it benign breast disease? She said, well, they shouldn't really call it that. That's better. Yeah, we'll just don't, just forget about that. And 1 million people, I would imagine every person in has benign breast disease until further notice.
It just doesn't make sense to me. It's possible, Larry, that your mother wasn't really sick at all. Many of the people that quacks claim to have cured weren't sick in the first place.
Okay, so that was from this public service announcement that I found where in the 50s, where they're trying to warn people, like, don't go to a quack, go to a licensed medical physician. I would argue that these days it's the other way around. All this quackery talk that they try to scare people into being channeled into the medical industrial complex using their well, I would argue that the doctors that all the doctors that we have now by law are the quacks, obviously. Well, but let's keep it going.
Now, Homer, breathe into this mask. He's asleep. I almost feel guilty about charging for the anesthesia. Almost.
Almost. They're charging.
He probably has cancer.
I thought we were wearing the wrong shoes for cancer.
We're wearing the wrong shoes for testicular cancer. They're perfect for lymphoma.
all right, you could say, "Oh, that's funny to me" or something. I don't know what that even means, but so they're just confusing the average person with and making it seem like it's artsy to confuse you. You know, you're like, I'm not wearing the proper shoes for lymphoma or whatever they said, prostate cancer. Anyway, that's just to make you think like, you know, you're it's a joke, but you're not in on it, or you don't get it because you're not smart enough, you know, as Dr. House is or something. Here we go.
You're dumb if you ask for a degree of certainty.
Okay, you're dumb if you ask for a degree of certainty. That sounds kind of like, you know, some weirdo that I found, but he's not some weirdo. He's the preeminent cancer doctor or biologist in the world, supposedly. I'm gonna feature him in the show, and rather than I'll let the clips do the talking, but I believe you'll get the picture that I'm not sure if this guy's the preeminent anything except for absolute psycho and moron combined, then I'm not sure if you're listening to the show, but I haven't shown you it yet. Let's keep it moving. Dr. James Watson. He's okay. So he worked his whole career at the Cold Spring Harbor Laboratories in Long Island. There's be more on that. That was also called the Eugenics Record Office for 40 years in the early to middle 1900s. And James Watson was eventually after he's 80 years old, they kicked him out. And in the New York Times, they said New York Times he was the eminent biologist who ignited uproar last week with remarks about the intelligence of people of African descent, retired yesterday from the Cold Spring Harbor Laboratory. He said that, and you know, I mean, they won't even tell you what he said until like 3-4 paragraphs down. He says, he said that the London Times, he was quoted in the London Times as suggesting that overall people of African descent are not as intelligent as people of European descent. More to come on Dr. Watson. That's your preeminent biologist in the world, working at the Cold Spring Harbor Eugenics Laboratory and associated very closely to the Rockefeller University Molecular Biology Hospital. Keep it going.
Sorry, I don't mean to embarrass you, but I'm a rather brilliant surgeon. Perhaps I could help you with that hump.
What hump?
Join Petco, Morris Animal Foundation, and the Blue Buffalo Company as we work together to raise money to help find a cure during Pet Cancer Awareness Month.
Okay, don't want to miss Pet Cancer Awareness Month with Betty White over there. We have a lot of pet cancer out there. And so join Petco in raising money for pet cancer research, if you will.
And President Clinton and I are going to work to tap that same spirit of giving.
There you go. And as long as you guys are raising money, Bush and Clinton will tap that spirit for you, too, I'm sure.
From 1950 to 1975 as chairman of Rockefeller University and later as the head of its executive committee, he presided over the transformation of that institution into perhaps the premier center of cell biology in this country and the world.
Okay, David Rockefeller was chairman of the Rockefeller University, and they called it the preeminent cellular biology laboratory in the world. And if that's not it, then it's the Cold Spring Harbor Laboratory, which is also Rockefeller-based eugenics. And okay, so maybe we should. It might be time to read you the definition of eugenics, just in case you were wondering. Let's see, let's go to old Wikipedia, if you will. It is a social philosophy advocating the improvement of human hereditary traits through the promotion of higher reproduction of more desired people and traits, more desired people, whoever they are, and reduced reproduction of less desired people and traits. That's your definition of eugenics. You can look that up. The Eugenics Record Office, which was at Cold Spring Harbor Laboratory in Cold Spring Harbor, New York, United States, was a center for eugenics and human hereditary research. Okay, that during the 20th century, in the first half of the 20th century. I'll just give you a little clip out of that as we're moving on. Under the direction of Laughlin, I forgot his first name. Anyway, he was one of the directors of the Cold Spring Harbor laboratories. The Eugenics Record Office advocated laws that led to the forced sterilization of many Americans it categorized as socially inadequate. All right, so for all you socially inadequate people, watch your step, because there's a molecular biology department at Rockefeller University is on your ass. Okay, so let's keep it moving from there. So they pretty much spearhead and control all molecular quote unquote biology research. I'll give you some insight into that as we keep going. Here we go.
Right now, I'm totally bored by almost all cancer research because I can't see it leading to a cure. Okay? So, yeah. So if you so I was just at a big cancer meeting. It was very boring.
Okay, that's Dr. Watson again. He said he's bored with cancer research. He can't see it leading to a cure, and he went to a cancer meeting recently, saying that was very boring. Everybody laughed, like that was funny. Again, that's your preeminent. Check it. Look at that. Look him up. He won a Nobel Prize, Nobel laureate for biology, I believe, and celebrated as the highest, as the eminent, the top guy, the top dog in the whole thing. I couldn't find anything that sounded even coherent except for he's just laughing and he's like, yeah, I'm bored with cancer. I'm like, oh great, thanks, buddy.
I think all our society is run by insane people for insane objectives.
Neuroendocrine tumors. Steve Jobs died of a neuroendocrine tumor. The field is dominated by surgeons because chemotherapy doesn't work. So unless the surgeon saves you by just removing the tumor or giving you a new liver, and they say there's nothing you can do.
Okay, there's nothing you can do. According to Dr.
Fraud, and you're the most obvious fraud I've ever seen.
That's for sure.
You're a fraud, and you're the most obvious fraud I've ever seen.
The longer you wait, the more difficult the operation will be. It's dangerous to delay.
When does a specialist want to operate?
Tomorrow morning. There's no other medical choice. It's the only way.
Dr. Welby knows what he's doing.
Marcus Welby's like, we have to, we don't have time, hurry up, rush. And again, usually most of the time when people are rushed, that's like, when they rob a bank, they say the same thing, hurry up, rob a bank, give me your money now.
Well, if I felt bad about every patient that I couldn't help, then I don't make it through the day.
That's a clip from a movie, and that's a doctor who he's like, if I fix so they're trying to desensitize the doctors, who, if you're a doctor, you're watching it, or if you're just watching it and trying to learn about doctors, he's like, listen, I got so much death going on here that if I cared about if I worried about everybody, I wouldn't be able to get through the day.
Well, if I felt bad about every patient that I couldn't help, then I don't make it through the day.
We have created an economy of fear, an industry of fear, a national psychology of fear.
20,000 people die of cancer every day. This translates to 8 million deaths every year.
By the end of this year, nearly 200,000 new cases of invasive breast cancer will be diagnosed, and 40,000 people will die.
I have cancer. Melanoma, to be exact, and I'm dying. The options aren't good.
Now go tell Cindy, whatever her name is, that she's dying.
Don't you want to get better?
Yes, desperately. It's not going to happen. All right, newsflash, there's no cure.
The ideas, the thoughts, and the opinions of the masses are being manipulated through fear.
She's got metastatic squamous cell lung cancer, 6 months tops.
You're my doctor. You know how the story ends. I'm going to die.
I don't want to go there, okay? The parents are mad because their kid is dying. It's understandable. But if he doesn't die, they won't be mad anymore. Will I die? Might have a week.
Nowhere is fear peddled more shamelessly than in the fields of medicine.
I've got to learn not to beat around the bush. By dying, I meant no matter what we do. Very, very soon she is going to be dead.
All right, so I watched a couple of movies. That was Love and Other Drugs. It's a movie about Big Pharma. That was Dr. House. I think you heard there. There's Grey's Anatomy. There's Scrubs. There's this show on Showtime called The Big C, which is about cancer. There's no apps. It's just a massive propaganda complex built around this massive operation of the cancer business and of this massive. He said it's everywhere. Keep it going.
If you hear that someone has a...
And one note on that, I mean, if it was so easy to understand, and if it was understandable at all, or if it made any sense, I should say, you wouldn't have to keep propagandizing people all the time. It would, the universe would work it out so people would get it anyway. But this one's like nobody ever gets it because it doesn't make none of it. So like, you have it, you know, you never know if you have it. It goes away. Sometimes it pops up. It comes out of nowhere. It just happens. And so they have people, and then they're like, but you're all gonna die, and the old, you're all gonna die, which is like, you know, and Bugs Bunny said it pretty well too. He's like, you're all gonna die.
If you hear that someone has a sarcoma, you generally assume, you know, either surgery works or you die.
And he always, whenever he says you're gonna die, he laughs. This guy, Dr. Watson. Moving on.
I think they're all insane.
John Lennon is accurate on that account.
In the 1700s, it was recognized that there was a population of boys that got scrotal cancer much, much more frequently than anybody else. That was the first link between damage and cancer. So the chimney sweeps, the little boys that could go down the chimneys and sweep them out, they had a very high rate of cancer because they didn't wash as often as they should.
Okay, so now cancer is caused by not washing enough, or as often as you should, whatever that is. Again, you know, what is it? Is it so now? It's so what if you wash a lot? Then you won't get cancer. I don't think there's any evidence of. I've never heard that. So and that was in the 1700s with chimney sweeps. So you're like, yeah, I remember chimney sweeps and Mary Poppins. Or whatever, Dr. Doolittle, or whoever they had chimney sweeps, or Oliver Twist, or something. All kinds of ways to jog into, place thoughts into your memory, into your brain, relating them to things that you might have had a good warm feeling towards once when you were a kid. And you're like, oh yeah, and then like, oh no, now I'm gonna have scrotal cancer because I liked the Mary Poppins chimney sweep scene.
I told you, delay is dangerous.
Marcus Welby.
If we don't go right now, your son's gonna die.
Do what you have to. Save my son.
And then the doctors are always saving the day, like, you're gonna die if I don't save you. Oh, okay, please, doctor, save me. That was from Grey's Anatomy.
So I think I'm starting to realize I'm probably gonna die. I wake up and I look in the mirror and, like, it's pretty obvious, you know.
A lot of what you're feeling right now is from the treatment.
Yeah, she's like, you feel that's from the treatment, you're gonna die. That was supposedly his doctor. That was that movie 50-50 that, with Seth Rogen, who was actually early in the movie, he was kind of funny, and then he got a little bit out of control. Not him, but or any of the specific actors, but the movie got out of control, and again, it was just to fearmonger you and to put all this false information in your head about cancer, so you're gonna have to just trust the criminals who are running the business, and which is not will not work out well for anybody, and it hasn't, and it won't.
So I think I'm starting to realize I'm probably going to die. I wake up and I look in the mirror and, it's pretty obvious,
A lot of what you're feeling right now is from the treatment.
And of course, the fearmongers are also preying on fear of disease. And the solution that the fearmongers give us are drugs.
So now the average doctor goes through school. He learns all about drugs. He doesn't know too much about basic nutrition. I found that the average wife of these physicians knows more about nutrition than he does. But they sure know their drugs. And if you go to your typical doctor today, I don't care what it is, chances are you're going to walk out of there with a prescription. Why? Because that's what he has been trained to do.
And I will tell you, and pretty much nothing else. I mean, I live here in New York City. I bump into people that got a doctor or a surgeon living right upstairs from me. None of them seem to have any explanation for how things work or anything like that. They're just just whatever. You don't understand it. I do. I went to medical school. You didn't. And that's what cancer. That's how so cancer's real because I said so, and that's that. Whereas in other things in life, you can get a legitimate explanation for things. I'll keep you posted on that. I got some more analogies about that, but let's keep the show moving.
Today, chemotherapy is often given in combination with surgery and radiation.
The first side effect that many people ask about is hair loss.
Chemotherapy.
In fact, my friends, Professor Elliott's wonder medicine can cure all disorders of the human race without exception.
There's your old-fashioned snake oil salesman, but it's a chemo cure all your cancer or whatever that is. Now here's a Charlie Brown clip, and we'll talk about this.
They also hooked me up to this IV. That means intravenous. That's how I get my chemotherapy. Chemo what? That's medicine to help me get better. It kills the cancer cells. That must really hurt. No, but it makes my hair fall out and it makes me sick to my stomach. But it's gonna make me better.
It might happen. Yeah, and monkeys might fly out of my butt.
Now, for in the earlier clip from Charlie Brown, when he said, what is cancer, and he's like, it's something. He says something just happens. Then so that's kind of vague and general. But then now they're telling kids again, they're teaching kids at a very young age, this is how cancer. You need chemo's good for you, and again, folks, I'm sorry, but. How you could lose inordinate amount of weight, your hair falls out, you look like death, okay, from these chemo treatments, and I'm sorry, but there is no evidence of anything in the universe that you start going backwards the other way. You get worse and worse and worse, and then you need to get worse to get better. Oh, you didn't know that? Yeah, you need to we need to bring you right to the edge of death, and then we'll start bringing you back from the death, to then you'll be better, and that none of it just doesn't make any. There's no logic to any of that type of theory, except if you're a lying, murdering, robber baron, Rockefeller-based cellular biology mafia. Keep it going on that note. So Charlie Brown is really propagandizing kids' heart. It's kind of evil and sick, but keep it moving.
Well, if you're not doing chemo, what are you doing?
Living my life.
Are you serious? Because that sounds pretty fucking ridiculous to me. I mean, living your life, anybody can do that.
Okay, so that's this that show, The Big C, on Showtime, which is she's a very likable character too. The actress in that show who has cancer. It's Showtime, so there's all kinds of in between every the propaganda that everybody's having sex with everybody. And so on the show Homeland, the guy's wife is having sex with two different guys on the show, and the same thing in this show. So that's that's their formula over at Showtime. Is like everybody's full having affairs, explicit affairs, and everybody gets caught in the open. Everybody's doing nobody. Everybody runs home and has sex with their mistresses or their secret lovers, like in the house, and they always get caught by the person who comes home. I mean, they don't even come home early. They're like, oh, we forgot you. We were so lustful. We forgot that you were coming home to see us having sex. And then they're like, oh, and by the way, cancer is going to kill you. And then so then the husband is like, you're not doing chemo? And I wonder, like, what husband is like, would be that like, he wouldn't ask his wife, like, what do you think what do you think about this chemo? Let's discuss it. Oh, he's like, you're not doing chemo? What are you, crazy? And she's like, and just to make it sound like, that's how you're supposed to react if somebody says don't take chemo, even though there is no evidence whatsoever that chemo has ever helped anybody, and there's abundance of evidence, massive evidence that it kills everybody. Keep it going.
If you take too much, they can kill you. Would you say, were you too much, you're going to die anyways? Okay, Mr. Top cancer biologist in the world is going to be, you're going to die anyway. Take the chemo.
We have a treatment for cancer called chemotherapy, which is equivalent for most people to assisted suicide.
Their toxicity is so high that all personnel handling them must observe very strict safety rules.
That's one of the drugs I had to get. It's called adriamycin. And I said to the nurse, how come you're wearing those rubber gloves? She said, I can't get this on my skin. I said, you're shooting that right in my fucking vein.
Right, they're telling you you have to wear gloves to administer a IV, and yet but he's like you're putting it in my vein and you can't even touch it with your hands. That sounds good. Yeah, don't worry about it. This. We know what we're doing here. We worked it all out at Rockefeller University.
The pills some of these quacks hand out have maimed and killed.
Now, who'll be the first to try the miraculous powers of Professor Elliott's wonder medicine?
Roche advertises the cost of the drug for a 6-month treatment. Now, you could say $50,000. Why don't they say for a year? Most people live just 6 months.
Yeah. Okay, so Dr. Watson with his laugh is telling you that Roche, the drug giant, manufacturing giant, is charging $50,000 for 6 months worth of their drug, and then he's like they don't give you a yearly price. It's only 6 months for $50,000. He said because everybody dies after 6 months anyway. I'm like, so what kind of treatment is that? If everybody you just give us $50,000 and you'll be dead. Last $50,000 and you'll be dead soon. Don't worry about it.
You're a fraud, and you're the most obvious fraud I've ever seen.
It's looking like that to me, too, folks. Go Dr. Watson over there.
Chemotherapy drugs are, in fact, among the most expensive of all.
Something called mid-line carcinoma, which is a pediatric cancer, very fast killing, which due to a...
Okay, the pediatric cancer. I'm not sure how the it's like what is it's a kid cancer. It only comes in kids. Like the cell these multiplying cells, which is again none of it makes any sense for anybody with half a brain. But we're going to go into that in depth in the show. So it's a pediatric cancer. And listen to what he says here, though. This is old Dr. Watson. I'm still looking for anything from him that sounds scientific at all. Keep it going.
Something called mid-line carcinoma, which is a pediatric cancer, very fast killing, which due to a chromosomal translocation, and you can see it. And
chromosomal translocation, whatever. We'll get into things like that, but just listen to the words they use. Okay, he's translocating something. By the way,
you see a bromodomain as part of the cancer-causing thing.
A bromodomain is part of the cancer-causing thing. Okay, keep going, and don't ask me. Go look if you want to look up what bromodomain is. I did, and I won't. It's just a crock of garbage. There is no logical or coherent explanation of what any of these things are. So anyway, I'll play it one more time. I'll shut up and we'll keep it moving. Dr. Watson here.
Something called mid-line carcinoma, which is a pediatric cancer, very fast killing, which due to a chromosomal translocation, and you can see it, and you see a bromodomain as part of the cancer-causing thing. So this led people to trying to make drugs against bromodomains. Mitsubishi had a program and then decided that they would stop it because only, 50 kids a year died of it. It wasn't commercially viable.
He only killed 50 kids. It was a fast-killing pediatric cancer, killing, but it wasn't commercially viable to manufacture. And then there's something, speaking of asking questions, I'm like, I didn't know Mitsubishi was in the drug business, too. I'm like, you can get your cars and you can get your cancer drugs from the same people, the good people at Mitsubishi.
Mitsubishi Tanabe Pharma. As a global, research-driven company, our goal is to create innovative, new solutions to address the unmet medical needs of patients worldwide.
There you go. It sounds like some sort of a twisted front company for cancer. They're just there. We're a global company. We're Mitsubishi Global Pharma, and we just make drugs for whatever we can think of that we can talk you into taking with no basis in fact of anything. I'm gonna, you're like, well, Max, show me the evidence. You got it. It's coming. I mean, it's here. It's all here. Keep it going.
It's cancer salve, and it's deadly. It's killed before, it'll kill again. When it doesn't kill, it maims. It never cures. The man who mixed the salve wanted money, and he didn't care how he got it. He's what's generally referred to as a quack doctor. But somehow that term just doesn't cover my feelings on the subject. To me, the term murderer is much more appropriate.
Okay, so they're talking about something called cancer salve, which is like some old-fashioned concoction they would spread on your skin or something, and it's called cancer salve. And I would equate that clearly to chemo drugs now. It doesn't do you any good. It only kills you and maims you, and it's mixed by a quack doctor. That sounds about accurate to me. Keep it going.
There's far more money to be made in treating a disease than in curing it. Why cure someone of cancer in a day if we can treat them for a lifetime and bill them every step along the way?
Lots of money to be made in that regard. If people aren't, if you tell them they're healthy and you let them walk out the door, you ain't making any money on them. So you got to give them a disease. And they're talking about cures. I'm going to say, well, what if you just make up a fake disease? It's a lot easier then you don't have to worry about ever curing it or ever having to tell people that you're treating something that doesn't exist and you're curing it too, or you're not curing it for that matter, and you're like, so now you're saying that cancer doesn't exist, Mass? I'm getting there. I'm saying that, but I'm going to present my case and support it very well. So I'm not, I haven't proven it yet, but you'll see.
If you want to help, give cash money to the Red Cross.
Women who go in to see an oncologist, they're never told by that oncologist that if you agree to chemotherapy or radiotherapy, we make money off the drugs that we're selling you for the treatment that we tell you need because we diagnosed you with the disease that you may not even have.
Go see Dr. Evans. He's a licensed MD. You can trust him.
Yeah.
He'll prescribe heavy dosage. The sooner she runs out, the sooner she'll be back.
Fear anesthetizes us. It coerces us, making us believe that we can do little on our own to prevent or treat disease, and forces whole nations to kneel at the altars of the drug industry.
Women at high risk of a subsequent invasive disease may want to consider a full mastectomy and systemic treatment.
If you're at high risk, might want to have a full mastectomy and systemic treatment. There you go.
You had your uterus, your ovaries, and your fallopian tubes taken out. So does that mean that you probably will be cancer-free?
Well, it reduces my risks.
Cutting things out of your body, okay, especially an organ, but anything, is absolutely insanity to me. Okay, I'm like, oh, it doesn't work anymore, Max. I'm like, that doesn't sound like the universe did not put those organs in your body because you don't need them. I only need one kidney, or I don't need an appendix. That was from caveman days or something. whatever. Okay, I'm going to continue to support this case. Let's keep it going.
They butchered you, but it was necessary butchering.
Yeah, it was a necessary butchering. So they took out this lady. She's going to say, "Oh, I reduced my risk because if you keep cutting." In other words, she's saying, "Yeah, if you cut your arm off, you're reducing your risk to getting cancer in your arm because you don't have an arm anymore." That's basically what she's saying. And then she's like, she had her uterus cut out, and I was thinking that sounds like to me like you're cutting out the donut hole in the donut. You know what I mean? Like how are you going to cut a uterus? Isn't solid, okay? I mean, whatever. I'm not sure how you cut it out. Were they scraping the insides of... Okay, I won't get too crude on that. Keep it going. Get my point.
You had your uterus, your ovaries, and your fallopian tubes taken out. So does that mean that you probably will be cancer-free?
Well, it reduces my risks.
And then Barbara Walters plays all dumb also, like, you mean you give me cancer free? And she's like, it'll reduce my risk. You won't just kill yourself. That'll reduce your risk too.
They butchered you, but it was necessary butchering.
There you go, the old necessary butchering.
They did a mastectomy. They cut the breast off of the corpse, and they did what's called Egan subsectioning in both directions. Bread slicing in this direction and in that direction. So it makes little blocks of tissue.
That's just to gore people out and get them all scared. Again, these people are looking for answers and information about cancer, and she's like, yeah, we cut the breasts off of a corpse and then put them in a bread slicer and cut them into cubes. So, well, isn't that nice? Not sure what the hell that has to do with, like, telling people about cancer, because it doesn't, but people are like, oh, Max, you're so critical. Keep it going.
The fear marketing, the fear mongering of the cancer industry has been so effective at terrifying women. It's practically medical terrorism. Women are so scared that they're then easily manipulated and funneled like cattle into these meat grinder systems where they're cutting their breasts off, they're treating them with chemotherapy.
So, for example, there's a gene called P53 that has an important job in our body. It either repairs the DNA damage in a cell, or it tells the cell, you know what, you're so damaged you ought to just die, and it helps the cell go on to death.
Okay, the P53 gene. I was like, where did they get that number from? And then I was thinking the only thing I could come up with was maybe if you because when I wrote P53 on my little clip title, I noticed that it looked like PS3 a little bit, and I was like, oh, maybe it's like a little bit subliminal PlayStation 3 plug or something like that. Anyway, it's a P53 gene. You didn't know that? Again, and it's genetic. It's a virus. It's genetic. Keep it going.
So, for example, there's a gene called P53 that has an important job in our body. It either repairs the DNA damage in a cell, or it tells the cell, you know what, you're so damaged you ought to just die, and it helps the cell go on to death.
Why, that's ridiculous.
What am I, a schmuck on wheels?
Result, they never learn to question things. Nobody questions things in this country anymore. Nobody questions anything. Everybody's too fat and happy. Everybody's got a cell phone that'll make pancakes and rub their balls now. You know? Way too fucking prosperous for our own good. Way too fucking prosperous. Americans have been bought off and silenced by toys and gizmos, and no one learns to question things.
No, you just like, sure, cut my breasts off, cut my testicles off, take poison and lose 60 pounds and all your hair and put your death when you were a vibrant, healthy person your whole life. Oh, just on a doctor's diagnosis. The next thing you know, you're dead. And I'm sorry, if you didn't take those drugs, you weren't gonna go shrivel up like that. No, we're helping you out. We're killing the cancer for you. That's why you're shriveling up like that. That's why you lost all your. That can't be a good sign that your hair falls out. That's your body telling you something. This is, there's poison in me here.
From research laboratories to medical schools, from prevention clinics to worldwide drug sales. Today, the cancer medical apparatus is so large and expensive that it needs its patients in order to survive.
There you go. The cancer apparatus is so large, and let's face it, it's built on fraud. Okay, so if you take out the fraud, the whole thing will collapse, which would be millions of jobs and money for different people, whether it's you work in a hospital, or you're in the drug business, or you're just driving a truck that's got these supplies. It's all kinds of things. It's a giant industry. And if you God forbid you tell people maybe there's no such thing as cancer, or what, maybe we don't even know, there maybe we're questioning whether or not this is all real or not, or true or not, especially since we are scamming snake oil sales people at the molecular biology lab at Rockefeller Found University told us we're the only ones who seem to know anything. Like, don't worry, we researched it. Don't worry, you can trust us. We're not murdering Depop eugenicist robber barons. No.
What you're doing here is criminal, and I'm going to tell the whole world about it. Is that right? Who's going to believe you? The internet?
I had no idea we were such suckers about our health.
I did.
As if by design, health choices are limited, information is scarce, lives are ruined, and the truth be damned.
But many deal in out-and-out false claims.
The quack has no problem in procurement of victims. All he has to do is find a person who is sick and who isn't too well informed.
Cancer cells enjoy immortality.
Cancer cells enjoy immortality. They live forever. Cancer cells. You know that? Like everything lives forever.
Fungal mold spores cause cancer. Google it.
There you go. Google it, man. If it's on Google, it must be true.
1903, and there were 3 Japanese investigators that took cigarettes, and they extracted what came out of the smoke. And they distilled it down into a liquid, and then they painted it on the back of mice to ask if there was some cancer-causing property in that smoke. And they got cancer. They got cancer.
There you go.
Are you kidding me?
I say pay attention. If you have a sore throat for a month and you ignore it, stay on top of that, because it could be something far worse than, the tonsillitis.
Yes, ma'am. I told Janice she should go home or see the nurse. No, ma'am. I'm not a doctor.
Right. So his friend is in the class, and she's got cancer. She said she wasn't feeling so good, and Linus goes, and the teacher's like, "What'd you tell her?" He's like, "I told her to go home or go to the nurse's office." And the teacher's like, "What are you, a doctor?" He's like, "No, ma'am, I'm not a doctor." So to tell little kids that, the only person you're allowed to get any information, any advice or any guidance from health-wise, not like you're not instinctively born knowing what's good for you and what's not. Of course not. I thought I was, and I still do. But no. You got to listen to a special person who's got magical powers, and he's the only one. So even though Linus gave her, that was pretty good advice. She's like, I'm not feeling well, Linus. He's like, why don't you go to the nurse's office or call your mom, and let her take care of you. That would be, I think that's very prudent advice. Teacher's like, teacher's like, no, don't tell anybody. It's none of your. This is not your. It's our job to kill kids, not yours. Or not, we're trying to kill kids over here. We're not trying to give them any, prudent advice like you are, Linus.
Yes, ma'am. I told Janice she should go home or see the nurse. No, ma'am. I'm not a doctor.
Go see Dr. Evans. He's a licensed MD. You can trust him.
Joining me now is Dr. Hilda Hutcherson, clinical professor of obstetrics and gynecology at Columbia University's College of Physicians and Surgeons, and author of Pleasure, A Woman's Guide to Getting the Sex You Want, Need, and Deserve.
We all say no. Okay, so that was NBC, and that guy Lawrence O'Donnell, who's a total jerk off. And anyway, so he's got a doctor and at first he starts out pretty good. He's like, she's from the Columbia Obstetrics and Surgery Hospital and Columbia University, and people, so I'm like, okay, that sounds good enough. And then he tells you the name of the book she wrote. And I'm like, what the hell does that have to do with anything? She wrote a book. I mean, she's not like talking about obstetric surgeries in Columbia University book. No, it's pleasuring women, what you deserve. like sex book or something. I'm like, what does that have to do with anything? And why would you use that as why would you tell people like that that's some sort of a lends credulity to this person, which I would argue again that obviously it's the opposite. It discredits the entire newscast. Okay, because I'm like, dude, that's not. And these people. What do you think? What do you think? Somebody threw that in there by accident? No, that was in there on purpose to show you that this is very incredible. Like what's going on here. Let's play that again, and you see what I mean.
Joining me now is Dr. Hilda Hutcherson, clinical professor of obstetrics and gynecology at Columbia University's College of Physicians and Surgeons, and author of Pleasure, A Woman's Guide to Getting the Sex You Want, Need, and Deserve.
A Woman's Guide to Getting the Sex You Want, Need, and Deserve. All right?
We also know that HPV is linked to mouth cancers, oral cancers, and also other cancers such as anal cancers, other genital cancers, penile cancer.
Genitals, anal, penile, breasts, everything, all kinds of, sex cells, and even sex cells when it comes to cancer, too.
The virus also affects men, causing penile, anal, and mouth and neck-related cancers.
Okay, so men, that was implying they're gay men, so they get mouth, neck, and cancer. Now, mouth and neck cancer, you know what they're up to.
You don't sound like you have throat cancer.
Okay, so Michael Douglas is on Letterman's show, and he's like, you don't sound like you have throat cancer. He's like, because he's just telling Letterman that he had chemo and radiation on his throat from well, if you haven't heard that already, I'll tell you, you'll hear it from how he got that at the show. Keep it going.
HPV infection, which is mainly transmitted by oral sex.
The dreaded HPV oral sex infection.
Disco Stew got a probe up the wazoo and stopped his colon cancer at stage number 2.
Disco Stew got a probe up the wazoo.
Transmission of the human papillomavirus is most common through vaginal or anal intercourse, although it can also be transmitted by oral sex.
This is out of control. Keep it going.
They say some crazy shit. He said, Robert, you have some open sores in your mouth right now, and your immune system is really compromised. And while you're like this, I implore you to avoid any kind of oral anal contact. And I said, do I look like an ass eater to you?
Robert Schimmel, the rest of R.I.P. Robert Schimmel. He was a funny, dirty comic, but he died from cancer, and he spoke about it. And that's what. Yeah, it's everything: anal, oral, sex, vaginal, penile, breast cancer. It's just whatever. Keep it going.
The Hollywood actor Michael Douglas has made a rather surprising claim in The Guardian this morning. He claims that the throat cancer which nearly killed him was caused by giving oral sex. The remarkable thing is that he appears to be right.
A very common virus, one responsible for the vast majority of cervical cancers, is now identified as a cause of this rapid rise in oral cancers. So please, the next time you visit your dentist or your medical doctor, ask for this simple screening. Finding oral cancer in its earliest stages may save your life.
What is overdiagnosis?
Overdiagnosis is when cancers are detected by screening, but those cancers would not have caused problems or symptoms without screening. So they're really extra diagnoses due to screening.
Okay, so that's twisted logic too, and don't let them blow that one past you. So she said that cancer wouldn't be a problem if you didn't get if the screen didn't say you had it. Okay, so in other words, if you don't, so the screen is giving you is giving you the cancer. I mean, so if you don't get screened, then you don't have cancer. That doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Okay, and Michael Douglas is out there telling you, "Oh, go get screened." She's like, "Yeah, but if you don't get screened, then you won't have cancer. You don't have cancer." That doesn't make sense at all. That means the screen doesn't work. Or it's not screening, whatever. The screen means no. So the screen is so there's a company that makes the screening tests or whatever. They so the doctor administers the test. He sends the results to the lab, to the company that makes the test, and then the company that makes the test takes a look at your if you own your house free and clear, if you have any mortgages, or and what your credit rating is, and then they say, okay, this guy's got plenty of money. He'll tell me as a really rare cancer that's gonna, he's gonna, and his something that he needs for sex or for everyday use is going to have to be devastated because of it, and you can see how much money we can squeeze out of him, and then when we're done squeezing all his money out of him, then we'll kill him.
It could be cancer. Of course, I'm not a doctor.
I'm not a doctor, but it could be cancer, so I'm like, what do we need your opinion for then?
And while there's a lot of pieces of this jigsaw puzzle that we don't know about, there's not good large studies that link oral sex and sexual behaviour to HPV and then to cancer. Those are some missing links here.
Okay, so she's like, well, for everything you hear about oral cancer and HPV causes cancer, she said there aren't any studies that link any of it to any of it. So, so anyway, this is all made up conjecture. When, lots of that's just along the same lines as our terrorist endeavors.
When you're looking for fraud, it's staring you right in the face.
Now the question is whether men out there need to be worried, and women with their partners, about contracting throat cancer.
Cancer is a gift. It allows you to speak up in your life and say, hey life, this is what I want. But before you speak up, you have to find your voice, right, Mitchell?
Right.
Yeah, but then these twisted shows like cancer is a gift, whatever that's supposed to mean.
But even off camera, he's remained firmly in the spotlight. His hospital admission in the 1990s, some thought was for sex addiction. He says it was for alcohol abuse.
Yeah, so Michael Douglas is like, some people said he went to the hospital for sex addiction, but he said addiction, but he said he was there for alcohol abuse. Like, he's like rock star-itis, he had a severe case. He doesn't know if he's getting too much. He's like, I don't get too much sex. I'm drinking too much.
He was banging cocktail waitresses 2 at a time. Players couldn't get a drink at the table.
He's the man.
I, for one, will never forget where I was the moment I heard.
Okay, so he's loading. So Mike Lawrence was like, I for one will never forget where I was the moment I heard. What are you supposed to? He's not going to tell you Kennedy assassination. He's going to listen to what he says
about the connection between what Michael Douglas was talking about and cancer.
The connection between what do you mean what Michael Douglas was talking about? What was that a reference to? But he leads you and he's like, I will never forget where I was when blah blah blah, and that'll be that. So that was really that's really good reporting. Thanks, Lawrence O'Donnell. He'll never forget where he was when he heard about Michael Douglas got oral cancer from oral sex.
I, for one, will never forget where I was the moment I heard about the connection between what Michael Douglas was talking about and cancer.
Today, in a frank interview with the Guardian newspaper, he told one journalist he believes he developed his throat cancer from performing oral sex on women.
Oh, I tell you.
On women, thank God. That would be another scandal of otherwise. Well, not thank God. No offense to you other guys who enjoy it the other way. Yep, he got oral sex he got cancer from performing oral sex on women.
Oh, I tell you, Michael Douglas is my hero.
He's so many women's heroes, actually. I have heard this from a lot of women today, that he was willing to sacrifice himself.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah, he's been hearing that from all kinds of women. All kinds of women been chiming in on like, oh, yeah, I've heard, he's sacrificed himself for pleasuring women.
I am head and neck. I am above the neck, so nothing's gone down. And
okay, that's it. And Michael Douglas himself, he's on Letterman. He's like, I'm head and neck, so nothing's going down. And he's implying that his cancer doesn't go below. It's already in his neck and head, so it doesn't go below his neck and head. It only goes up from there, whatever that's supposed to mean. And he's going down. He's not going down. He's head and necking it. Whatever.
I am head and neck. I am above the neck, so nothing's gone down. And
the radiation took away my ability to talk, swallow, and eat.
In fact, I didn't eat for probably about 8 months.
Talk, swallow, and eat. Those are three things a woman does. I'm sorry, guys. Anyway, you can read into that what you like. Just might get a chuckle out of that too.
And the symptoms can be so subtle that they may be missed at first. Sore throat, a lump in the neck, difficulty swallowing, even an earache.
An earache, I heard that one. I wonder, yeah, I've heard about that. Difficulty swallowing in your neck, in your throat. Yeah, you can picture it all.
I think it's going to be a boon for the dentistry industry. I think they're going to look more closely now inside the throats of their patients just to see if there are any early signs of any issues in the back of the throat. That's where this virus will infect the tonsils in the back of the tongue.
I didn't have any symptoms. That's the scary thing about this. I didn't have the typical sore throat or anything in my mouth.
Well, he didn't do that thing you do with your tongue.
The thing you do with your tongue. It might give you oral cancer later, but you can also cure it.
You're not dealing with morons here.
Oh, no.
There's two things we get stupid for, money and sex.
I was at the hospital earlier, and I heard something I wish I hadn't.
Oh, please do not tell me it was a sexist remark, because that is not okay. Those nurses are busting their asses weighing people and seeing how tall they are.
It's basically transmitted presumably via sex.
By close physical contact, so by sex, by oral sex, even by things like sort of deep kissing.
It's basically transmitted presumably via sex.
By close physical contact, so by sex, by oral sex, even by things like sort of deep kissing.
Okay, so now they're transmitting cancer by deep kissing. Or you can read into that any way you like too.
Cancer is not contagious. You can't catch it from somebody like a cold or the flu.
Just deep kissing.
Good evening, Brian. It is the virus a lot of women know causes cancer of the cervix, but what a lot of women, in fact, most doctors don't know, is that this is also linked to other cancers, deadly cancers, and they're on the rise, and most people don't even know that they are at risk.
Doctors don't know. You don't know. I'm telling, but she's like, but Dr. Liar over here on NBC, this lady's Dr. Snyderman, who's a total psychopath. She's like, oh no, most of you people don't even know. I'm the only one who knows. But this cancer, may just be HPV, oral sex cancer, but that's linked to every other cancer we can think of that we can give you depending on how much money you got in your pocket.
And what we do know, and it's important to stress this, HPV, the human papillomavirus, is incredibly widespread in the population. More than 8 out of 10 of us have it.
8 out of 10 people have human papillomavirus. Interesting.
What a liar.
I would argue there is no such thing as a human papillomavirus, but that usually is the way it goes when they tell you 8 out of everybody has it. Yeah, but yours hasn't metastasized or manifested itself yet, so that's why I'm like, how come there's nothing wrong with me? Then, no, because you have it though. Don't worry. Just whenever we'll call it. We'll let you know when it's important for you to know that now it's kicking in, and you're, if you don't cut us a check right now, that's your human papillomavirus is gonna start taking over.
This virus that most of us are going to get in our lifetimes can cause throat cancer. I mean, who knew?
Mm-hmm. Who knew?
No sex during chemotherapy because the chemo comes out in your bodily fluids. And once I went for a checkup, and he said, Robert, you're not having sex, are you? And I said, well, does a blowjob count as sex? And he said, yes. I said, then no.
It's always wise to get tested before you do anything that involves body fluids.
I can no longer sit back and allow communist infiltration, communist indoctrination, communist subversion, and the international communist conspiracy to sap and impurify all of our precious bodily fluids.
He didn't like the way the cotton shirts that he wore absorbed
his bodily fluids.
Yeah, you gotta watch your bodily fluids on that. But we're asking questions here about cancer. One, so like, how does that work? Like, what does it work? I mean, how do you treat something if you don't know what it is? Okay, why are you giving people chemo and their hair falls out and they die and in 6 months from Roche for $50,000 like Dr. Watson told you from in the Roche chemicals and then he's like, everybody dies after 6 months anyway. I'm like, so what kind of treatment is that? And why don't you just save you $50,000 if you're going to die in 6 months? Let's go on a world tour vacation or something for $50,000. No, you should buy some Roche chemicals that you're going to be dead in 6 months even if you take them. So we're asking questions here, and I think that I think I have an idea of what's going on here. So, but explain what's going on. How do what do you know? How do you know this is? You saw a shadow on a mammogram. You heard that, or it just happened. I don't know. It just happens. All kinds of disinformation out there manipulating you through fear.
The most scary words in the world are, "The doctor will see you now. Go down the hall and turn to the right." When somebody tells you to go down the hall and turn to the right, you know you're really in trouble.
That's just twisted to tell little kids that. Now they're telling you like the doctor is always bad news. Which frankly, when I was a kid, I'd go to the doctor and my mom would take me and they would always say the same thing. They would say, "You look great. You're healthy. Bye." And everybody we'd smile. And my mom was like, "I told you you're a healthy boy." And I was like, "Thanks, Mom." And that would be that. Now they're telling kids that when you go to the doctor, you can expect him to tell you you're going to die or something like that. Like it's the scariest thing, the word you can hear is that you go see your doctor's here to see you or whatever, or the doctor will see you now. And that's twisted, and that's all part of the fear-mongering massive fear-mongering campaign that this whole criminal, corrupt medical industry has perpetrated upon us. And everybody's gonna be like, "Oh, Max, you're so critical. Shut up." I mean, whatever. No, I'm not. Okay, I'm lucid, and I'm just approaching these things like a person, ask some questions and get some answers. This and that. No. They're like, "You don't need any answers. You just need to do what we tell you and shut up."
The main element here that we have to deal with is the fact that fear is what's driving a lot of people, okay?
Nowhere is fear peddled more shamelessly than in the fields of medicine.
That's for sure. Nowhere is it peddled more shamelessly than the fields of medicine. Keep it going.
Big corporations never tell the truth. Look at the Kleenex industry.
Well, we had another good quarter. I guess a lot of people are sneezing out there.
Jerry, I'm going to let you in on something, and it can't leave this room. Our research shows the primary use of our product is sperm.
What?
Yeah, and brace yourself for this. The second biggest use is women crying about nonsense.
But I thought sneezing was...
Jerry, it's sperm and nonsense.
Get that, Jerry? Yep.
Fear preys on the most vulnerable among us. Fear sells, and nowhere is fear peddled more shamelessly than in the fields of medicine and human nutrition.
Over 1 million Americans are diagnosed with a new cancer every year.
This is pretty scary stuff, huh?
Oh, yeah.
The ideas, the thoughts, and the opinions of the masses are being manipulated through fear.
Today, the most advanced laboratories are working directly on the human genome in order to identify the genes that seem to be responsible, according to some scientists, for the different kinds of cancer.
Okay, so now we're getting into a little segment on first we had the human papilloma virus, okay, and that's a virus, and now we're going to be like, yeah, but it's not virus, it's genes, it's genetics. The whole the whole field of genetics is very dubious to me. Very little evidence of that. Any of that's true. It seems like a bunch of combinations of psychopathic morons who aren't even sharp or convincing by any means, and act like witch doctors, and yet they're considered the foremost technologically advanced molecular biologists in the world, and Nobel Peace Prize winners, and it's very disturbing to me. It's par for the course. You know, you get a president who gets a Peace Prize for having starting wars all over the place, and you get people who win the Nobel Peace Prize for molecular biology who don't seemingly have any knowledge of anything to do with science at all, and it's just fronting for a eugenics operation. There's massive evidence of that, and it's going to be supported and presented in the show. I'm not going to just blurt things out, and I'm going to back them up to the hilt. Okay, and let's. So now we got a little bit of a genetics angle segment on the relevant to the cancer thing. Keep it moving.
Today, the most advanced laboratories are working directly on the human genome in order to identify the genes that seem to be responsible, according to some scientists, for the different kinds of cancer.
See how they had you? Like, it seems to be, according to some scientists, it's possible. Maybe, you never know.
You've got some weird gene mutation, but we don't know what it is and we don't know what it means, but it's kind of weird.
And you're left thinking, well,
what do I do now? Right, do I get, it's very clear for Angelina Jolie, it was very clear because her mutation meant an 87% chance of getting breast cancer in her lifetime.
Right.
She said, for her it seems it was obvious she would have her breast removed.
Yeah, she had a gene. They found a gene, which is, again, I'm saying that's dubious already. And then she said and then she had her breast removed preemptively before because she didn't even have the cancer because she had 87% chance. And I'm crazy one for asking questions. This is on CNN. These people sound, well, I call this the genetic psychobabble clip. Okay. And that's on CNN. That's the Elizabeth Cohen, the lady who's on CNN, and she's like, and they sound like a little bit delirious and incoherent, and with zero basis in science or facts or anything. Just listen to what she says. But they're talking about Angelina Jolie now. We're going to get into that.
You've got some weird gene mutation, but we don't know what it is and we don't know what it means, but it's kind of weird.
And you're left thinking, well,
what do I do now? Right, do I get, it's very clear for Angelina Jolie, it was very clear because her mutation meant an 87% chance of getting breast cancer in her lifetime.
Right.
She said, for her it seems it was obvious she would have her breast removed.
Okay, and I guess these news channels definitely find people speak very fast, so they just blow these things past you, like Angelina Jolie and breast cancer, and it's a weird mutation of a gene. Okay, doctor, weird mutation of a gene. Keep it moving.
In the New York Times today, she writes her doctors estimated she had an 87% risk of breast cancer and a 50% risk of ovarian cancer. So she did it for her children. I've always told them not to worry, but the truth is, I carry a faulty gene, BRCA1.
Okay, so they don't know what causes it, but she has a faulty gene called BRCA1. Okay, and I was wondering what is BRCA, BRCA. I don't know. I was thinking possibly Britain, Russia, China, America. I don't know what BRCA is supposed to mean, but I'm sure it has some sort of twisted significance. Also, like everything with these criminals has. But so anyway, she's got a faulty gene, so she's going to get her breast removed because she has an 87%, but you don't even know what causes it or what it is. You don't even know what the cancer is. How are you going to know it's an 87%, like 87 of all things?
Needless to say, one of this man's most effective tools is the power of suggestion.
She was talking about a BRCA gene, and I thought, wow, I should go check that out. Yeah. And I had it.
And I had it.
What a liar.
Really? She's like, I checked out for the BRCA gene and I had it, So that was the one who said, so I got my ovaries, uterus, and the fallopian tubes removed and breasts. This one. She was on that's the girl Cara DiGardio from American Idol. I've never even seen it, but they say she was on it or something. She got everything. She got it all cut out, and then she's like, "I'm reducing my risk." I'm like, "You just gotta hope you have something left to operate your body with when you're done removing your risk of cancer."
Some people are very effective in repairing the damage that's done to their.
And by the way, she isn't. And her and Angelina Jolie don't have cancer. I mean, supposedly. Okay, I'm not sure how anybody could, but because we don't even know what the definition of it is, but. Even assuming that there was such a thing as cancer, they both don't even have it, and they're both having very serious. How you're going to remove your breasts or your fallopian tubes, your ovaries, your uterus, like that's like I said, like taking the donut hole out, and your breasts. Okay, and then they're like, yeah, but I'm empowering myself. I'm like, yeah, what?
Body, other people aren't. They're defective because of the genes that they carry.
Okay, see, other people are defective because of the genes they carry. So now you're a carrier of genes. No. You know, again, this isn't scientific, and this is a doctor speaking though, at University of California. Like, and all you have to do, I found this one. All you have to do is Google cancer. Okay, that's all. The only word I use. I said Google, just straight up cancer. There's the first thing that came up was this teacher giving a speech on, with on the front page, the first hit on Google. And so, in other words, they want everybody to see it. And she's like, you're defective, you're a carrier of cancer genes.
Some people are very effective in repairing the damage that's done to their body. Other people aren't. They're defective because of the genes that they carry.
Right, so we're going to have to start weeding out the people who are defective because, they're inadequate. They're, like I showed you in the eugenics definition, you're inadequate to live. What does it say? The ERO advocates laws that led to the forced sterilization of many Americans. It categories as socially inadequate. Listen, dude, you got the bad gene. You're socially inadequate. We're going to have to force sterilize you or just kill you or kill your kids, or you're not even allowed to have kids because you're defective. Okay?
We're going to have to stop defining cancers by organ systems and recognize that cancer of the lung has some properties in common with other cancers like of the prostate and ovary, and start to treat them with regard to their genetics. So it's
okay. So she said cancer of the lung we have to treat it, and what it has in common with the ovaries and the prostate. Wait. So she relates lung cancer to ovary cancer now, and prostate cancer now, but you really want to just say, but we just, you know what, we're just gonna have to test you for the bracket for the gene, with an expensive test that's patented by some criminal drug company, and then we'll tell you what you have, and then it's and your lung cancer associated with your ovary cancer, and then your penile and your anal cancer, and blah blah blah, and that's it. There you go, and that's how they do you. Keep it going.
What is the BRCA2 gene mutation?
So the BRCA2 gene mutation
is we're going to have to stop defining cancers by organ systems and recognize that cancer of the lung has some properties in common with other cancers like of the prostate and ovary, and start to treat them with regard to their genetics. So it's
lung has a lot in common with ovaries and prostate. That's news to me. And we just treat them with the genetics. In other words, just like we'll send the test over to the Rockefeller University, and they'll let us know what to do with you.
Cancer was due to changes in genetic changes.
Yeah, cancer is due to changes, and it's due to genetic changes.
Look, there's time for politics, and it's time for politics, and
yeah.
Shit, they're lying to us!
Earlier this year, Angelina Jolie revealed she had the test and found she carries a gene that increases her chances for developing both breast and ovarian cancer.
Jolie has said she wants genetic testing accessible to all women.
Jolie says she chose to share her story now, wanting more women to get tested and know their options.
Okay, another interesting thing that I noticed with this Angelina Jolie thing is that she put an op-ed in New York Times telling me everybody should get tested for the BRCA gene. So if you have it, then we should preemptively. You don't have to have cancer. You can remove your breasts so you won't get it. I'm like, isn't the worst part about the cancer having that you're gonna have your breast? First of all, I don't believe anybody should get anything removed, but now they're like, you're gonna do the worst possible thing that you can imagine to you before you even get the cancer. I'm like, and I would argue, you'd be a lot better off letting the cancer kill you than removing your breasts and uterus and fallopian tubes, and then what, saying, okay, then and you really think that's going to make you fine? Are you kidding me?
My husband turns to me and he says, "Do you want to get it?" Because I was stuck watching this. He said, "Do you want to get this test? It's $3,000, which is a lot of money."
Doctors can do genetic testing to look for the gene linked to ovarian cancer, and if the test is positive, some patients make the difficult decision to remove their ovaries.
Even the test for the BRCA1 gene, that test is owned by a corporation that claims a patent on the test to detect the gene. So just by going out and scaring all these women into thinking, well, gee, I might have this gene, and this gene is a death sentence.
Okay, so so the company that makes the BRCA testing, genetic testing, is called Myriad. I looked that up, and their website was so twisted. Like, it was like the minute I started trying to click on like the board of directors just to see who's behind it, and there was all kinds. They started downloading cookies onto my computer, and I was like, what are these? It was just so shady. And they're the ones who make the. It's just, I mean, is a pharmaceutical website supposed to be shady? Well, go check out Myriad, BRCA genetic testing company or something, and you see for yourself what I mean about that. Moving on.
A drug industry grew out of the booming patent medicine business.
Right, so they have a patented drug test that costs $3,000 to tell you if you should get your boobs removed, even though you don't have. But that doesn't be because you won't get cancer. Like, so, like, and then they'll be like, my boobs are gone, but I don't have cancer. I'm like, you didn't have it already. You didn't have it yet. Anyway,
a dreamlike scenario for the pharmaceutical industry. A world where each patient would need its own personal cure, tailored to its own personal needs.
All right, so that's what they're talking about now. So they see genetic things. That's what people are saying. This genetic stuff is all about. Is that now we can tailor our drug treatments to each and every individual, and then what we really can do is run a background test, suppose, on all these people, see how much money you have, and so your tailoring will be like, if you got money, you get this. Which none of it's going to do you any good except kill you off anyway. But if you have money, we'll give you this that will keep you paying until you're out of money. If you don't have money, we'll just give you this one because you're useless to us. Okay, and we'll fleece you either every which way from Sunday. There is no evidence any of this has any bearing on anything. Okay, and it's worse than that. Let's keep it moving. So it's a dreamlike scenario for the pharma companies, as they say.
A dreamlike scenario for the pharmaceutical industry. A world where each patient would need its own personal cure, tailored to its own personal needs.
Right, that's a gold mine, interpreted as a gold mine for the big pharma drug companies, which are certainly working in your best interests, I'm sure.
Give it to me straight, Dr. Jewish. Is he going to live?
What we want to do is we want to match the disease with the cure or palliative treatment, whatever it is, by using the genomic tools. And that's really what the whole cancer world is now going to be about for a very long time.
There you go. That's this a guy. He's another foremost molecular biologist named Botstein. He's also from, of course, Rockefeller University and Cold Spring Harbor Laboratories. It's not because I'm picking on them. It's because that's the only people that there are. Okay, those are the only places that are participating in this genetic cancer research, supposedly. Okay, and so it's either them or them. Okay, and they're the ones who be like, "Yep, you got cancer. Sign. Pay. Go to the window. Go to the cashier window."
1 million new patients every year. 1 million new cures for each and every one of them.
Today, it is infinitely easier to kill 1 million people than to control 1 million people. It is easier to kill than to control.
That's Zbigniew Brzezinski, the founder of the Trilateral Commission, and along with David Rockefeller, Rockefeller's right-hand man. He's like, yeah, it's a lot of, I don't know, that's, you think he sounds like the guy sounds like a psychopathic mass murderer, but no, that's one of the top, most powerful political figures in the world.
Today, it is infinitely easier to kill 1 million people than to control 1 million people. It is easier to kill than to control.
Oh, good. That's nice information for me, Z-Break. Okay, so what are you trying to say? You want to kill 1 million people then? It's infinitely easier to kill them and control them. I'm like, all right, so you got to do what you got to do. I can see where you're going. What you're planning to do.
So I think it'll turn out that it may be easier to kill the incurable cancer if we have the right drug than the ones we now try and cure.
Okay. It's easy to kill people with the right drugs, and again, that was Dr. Watson again. I'm like, these people are psycho and sick, okay? And none of it is, have you heard any scientific, anything that you like tangible that you could like, that made any sort of sense? Of course not. Of course not.
But many deal in out-and-out false claims.
That's for sure. And Dr. Watson, yeah, so he's like, they're all...
So my scientific career is always based on sort of probability. I never wait till something is really proven. And
You're a fraud, and you're the most obvious fraud I've ever seen.
That's for sure. This guy is I would say, a clown, for whatever that's worth.
I mean, is this some kind of incredible joke that people are so stupid they'll fall for this?
It's preying on a gullible public that is not well versed in the corruption of the oncological field. That, in other words, the cancer industry and cancer doctors that believe genes cause cancer.
No one has been able to prove that the official theory is the correct one, and that the origin of cancer is in fact of genetic nature.
Nobody's been able to prove that the origin of cancer is of genetic nature, but they don't. And you heard what Dr. Watson said. He said, well, I don't wait for things to be proven, so I don't care about proving things. You think I'm kidding you?
so my scientific career is always based on sort of probability. I never wait till something is really proven.
Right. And then the psycho people in the crowd are like laughing like that was funny or something. It's not terribly funny to me. Keep it moving.
The good news is...
Yeah, the good news is, yeah.
There's far more money to be made in treating a disease than in curing it. Why cure someone of cancer in a day if we can treat them for a lifetime and bill them every step along the way?
What my father understood about groups is that they are manipulable, they're malleable, and that you can tap into their deepest desires or their deepest fears and use that to your own purposes.
That was a daughter of Edward Bernays, who was the father of propaganda, father of public relations, and she said, my father understood that you can manipulate people through fear and tap into their emotions and their fears and then get them to do what you want to get them to do. Sounds good to me.
But one thing that I do want the audience to know about is the HPV vaccine.
Yes.
For young.
Much attention has been given to young girls, but now we're saying it should also be administered to boys.
Here we go with the vaccines now. Again, this is called bunk science, and so now there's a vaccine against cancer, against HPV virus, and even though, again, they've never isolated an HPV. Everybody's got it, and there's a vaccine against it, and this one they're pushing on kids. It's always like, get the kids need it. The parents, if you're old, your HPV ain't going to do you any good anymore. Get it to the kids. I would argue that that's being used to sterilize and limit the kids. Kids are probably damaging their reproductive organs at a young age. So, because these psychos want to depopulate the world and to exterminate people all throughout the world, and just look up your eugenics people. Again, the cancer laboratories and the eugenics laboratories are one in the same. Okay, that's not a good sign. Okay, and I'm saying that lightly. That's insane. Okay.
It's easy to see how she was fooled into thinking that fake medicine would cure her.
There's far more money to be made in treating a disease than in curing it. Why cure someone of cancer in a day if we can treat them for a lifetime and bill them every step along the way?
I'm Dr. Kill Patient from the Board of Health.
HPV, the virus that can cause cancer, it's spread by sexual activity, but it can be prevented by a vaccine, but only if it's given to young people before it's too late.
And Brian Williams, NBC, pushing vaccines for kids, HPV vaccines.
While there is no known cure for adults who have been exposed to the virus, children can be protected by vaccination.
No known cure, yeah, but your children can be protected against, like how can you protect something against something when you don't even know what the cure, forget what the cure, the cause is, okay?
Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry. The nurse says I have to have another shot. You'll have to leave the room.
Okay, for whatever reason, the people have to leave the room while their friend gets a shot.
You know, this cervical vaccine is extremely effective, and that's why in many countries and many states, it has become mandatory.
Okay, see, she's telling you that the HPV vaccine is very effective, and that's why it's mandatory. Okay, mandatory vaccines now. And be like, oh, they're mandatory. And they say, yes, they do. They did in Texas with Rick Perry, and it's happened, and that's something right. And they've done it in Massachusetts, and they do it in other countries, all full on.
Vaccines are forced, toxic, promoted through fear and guilt, and are represented as safe and effective. However, evidence suggests neither.
Over 35 million doses of this vaccine have been given. It is safe, it's effective, and it is endorsed by a lot of medical bodies.
She's what you call a disinformation agent, just spouting bullshit everywhere.
I love my children, and I know what I went through, and it was excruciating. So there's a vaccine out there that's been tested that has positive results.
Positive results, that's not exactly a disclaimer. Or it is. I heard it's good for you.
We brought you a story here about a vaccine for pancreatic cancer. Very exciting research and clinical trials being done out of Johns Hopkins in Maryland, where a patient's own pancreatic tumor cells are taken out, they're irradiated or inactivated, and then genetically engineered to fight, seek, and destroy their personal pancreatic tumor cells. So some very exciting work, but again, still a devastating type of cancer.
She's what you call a disinformation agent, just spouting bullshit everywhere.
And I think the human papillomavirus vaccination for our young people is probably the way to go to reduce this concern overall for all of us. Right.
We got to vaccinate kids as much as we can, but now here's a very highly credible neurosurgeon who will tell you this.
There's no evidence whatsoever that this vaccine prevents cervical cancer.
There's no evidence whatsoever, he said, that this vaccine prevents cervical cancer or, frankly, anything. Okay?
When you're looking for fraud, it's staring you right in the face.
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir. And here's an interesting little clip from the good Dr. Martin Luther King. I think he's speaking a little bit metaphorically, but listen what he says about injecting people.
Injecting poisonous drugs of hate into the veins of peoples normally humane.
We're injecting poisonous drugs of hate.
The main element here that we have to deal with is the fact that fear is what's driving a lot of people, okay? Yes!
The good news is...
Yeah, and the old good news is...
Actor Dustin Hoffman has undergone treatment for cancer. The publicist for the 75-year-old Oscar-winning actor says that the cancer was detected early and that he was surgically cured.
Yeah, and I think I got sidetracked there, but when I was thinking about Angelina Jolie, is that so she does the op-ed, but she never made one appearance on TV herself where she talks about she'd never been on a talk show or anything. So they're always like, Angelina Jolie said, go get tested. And then they just show you a picture of her with like a sexy pouty lips or something, and people are like, yeah, and you're like, Angelina Jolie told you this or told you that, and I'm not quite sure. I think I would relate it to why she wouldn't, so to speak, testify on her own behalf, okay, or like rather than just write it out in an op-ed in the New York Times and then have a bunch of whores peddle her supposed words. Is almost, I would relate it almost like to a court case where the defendant doesn't always have to go on trial because if they say it's to prevent self-incrimination. I would equate that with this is the reason you don't see Angelina Jolie out there herself talking about it is because she's avoiding self-incrimination. Keep it going.
The modern counterpart of the ancient medicine man. He's traded in his boar's tooth and magic wand for an electrical appliance. But his stock in trade is still ignorance and superstition. The 20th century witch doctor talks in terms of atomic rays and supersonic vibrations.
Then they x-rayed me with this big machine. Did that hurt? No, silly. It just took neat pictures of what's happening inside my body.
That Charlie Brown thing was twisted.
The machine, however, is hooked up. It works on the same principle as a phonograph player. In fact, until the doc's ingenuity turned it into a superonic cure-all, it was a phonograph player.
He took a phonograph player and turned it into a supersonic cure-all. That sounds about right. Here's a twisted comedy clip from Ricky Gervais, who's a very popular guy from the UK, and and again, I mean, I'm not, and people are going to get mad at me for asking questions about cancer in a serious forum and format of, and hopefully intelligent format and a discussion type of setup. Where Ricky Gervais is like, okay, but people mad at me for that, but there's people out there like doing all kinds of like very distasteful comedy, and whether you agree with me or not on the cancer, on whether the credulity of all these cancer claims, I'm not sure. But then again, so why is Ricky Gervais saying things like this? That how could that be? How could he get away with it in a way? And I guess it means that that there is an underlying thread that this is all a hoax and a joke. Okay, well, you'll see what I mean. Let's play the clip and keep it moving.
Do a lot of work for cancer. That's my chosen charity. Do a lot of work for people with cancer, and they're welcome to it. But I will say this: if I ever get cancer myself, I'm going to walk into the nearest hospital and go, right, I paid for that machine. Get that little bald fucker off it.
I paid for that machine. Get that little bald fucker off it. Okay, that's I don't know, that was very funny. It was on HBO or something. Keep moving.
What is cancer? That question is now being asked following concerns that cancer is actually overdiagnosed.
Okay, now we're going to start. Now there's been a whole campaign just recently where they're going to question what is cancer, and the reason for that is because now that they're doing Obamacare and all these and all the insurance companies are writing the laws and writing the protocols, now they're like, well, we're not paying for everybody's cancer treatment, buddy. They're like, well, Obamacare, Mr. Obamacare. So so they're going to say, why don't we just change the definition of cancer? But you're not allowed to do that, okay? So everybody's so somebody's going to say, like, Mike, so what did my dad die of then? Nothing? No, well, we changed. It's not cancer anymore. It's something else. We just made some, and that's twisted. You can't. No, it can't be like that. You can't have something that's killing 1 out of 3 Americans. And then they just said in the beginning of the show, I said I played you a clip that said 1 out of 3 Americans will die from cancer. 1 out of 3. But they're like, no, well, yeah, it's not. Yeah, but no, they died from something else. Then we changed the name. It's not called cancer anymore. I'm like, that is just more evidence that there's something very wrong here. Okay. Plus the fact, like I said, that it's been discovered and developed out of snake oil, shim-sham, lying, murdering, eugenicist criminals' offices with the guy who spearheads and is the foremost expert on molecular biology, is total moron psychopath. But, you know, you can sweep that all in the rug and just, let them maim and kill your your loved ones, and then give me an attitude because I'm saying that sound a little crazy to you and me.
What is cancer? That question is now being asked following concerns that cancer is actually overdiagnosed.
What we need are better molecular techniques to figure out which one of these abnormalities that we find on screening are going to kill us, which one are never going to do anything.
Thanks.
All right, which ones are never going to do anything?
Turn the page of any dictionary, land on the letter C, and find one of the most frightening words no one wants to hear. Cancer. Turn the page of any dictionary, land on the letter C, and find one of the most frightening words no one wants to hear. Cancer.
Right, we're redefining cancer now. You'll hear what I mean by that. And
we should take low risk.
This is all an insurance company scam to distort, so we can deny treatment, and then you have the gene, and we don't really care for your genetic composition, so we're gonna have to sterilize you, and we're gonna have to change. You don't have cancer anymore. It's something else. It's cancer, or cancer or something like that. It's not cancer. So we're just gonna play like a fool. And this gets irritating to me because I'm like, whatever, What do you, and I have to listen to a lying whore tell me, oh, sorry, just look up the dictionary and up cancer. He's like, cancer's scary, but we're changing. But you know what? When it costs too much money for the insurance company, it's not cancer anymore.
Cancer is detected by screening, and call them something else so that people don't feel compelled to treat them.
Right. Oh, there you go. She said, she said, let's call it something else so you don't feel compelled to treat it. So in other words, you're only treating it because it's called cancer, but if it's so, in other words, she's implying that there's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with you. It's just, in fact, when they tell you have cancer, that's the problem. That's when the problems arise.
The National Cancer Institute is now recommending eliminating the word cancer from some common diagnoses.
Few things are as frightening for a patient to hear from a doctor as the word cancer, but today a panel of experts advising the National Cancer Institute proposed changing the definition of cancer, eliminating it entirely for some illnesses.
Okay, we're eliminating the definition of cancer for someone else's. That doesn't change it. Is that supposed to change anything? It's just we're changing the name of your illness now. But you see, but they word it in such a way that that means you don't have it anymore. If we just change the name on it.
Few things are as frightening for a...
Which I would argue is kind of is very implicit that that maybe there is nothing. What are we if we're changing something that's that easy? That was that easy. Why don't we just change the why don't we just erase cancer out of the dictionary, and then nobody would ever die of cancer ever again? Wow, that was a genius. What a great idea that was. Yeah, that's all we have to do. Just say there's no such thing as cancer anymore, and there won't be. Right. I think that's already the case.
The National Cancer Institute is now recommending eliminating the word cancer from some common diagnoses.
Yeah, we'll just change the word and everything will be fine again. And that's okay. So why would they do that? Okay, that's the National Cancer Authority or something like that. Why would they do that? Because it's
few things are as frightening for a patient to hear from a doctor as the word cancer. But today, a panel of experts advising the National Cancer Institute proposed changing the definition of cancer, eliminating it entirely for some illnesses.
Okay, and now it's called a panel of experts. So there's your panels now. This is all getting formulated so you can have denial of treatment, and the panel will decide your fate, and then if you have the wrong gene, I don't know, gene, you don't know if you're worth it. Okay, you got the bad genes as it is, maybe you should just we should just kill you off, okay? Because and go look up your eugenics definitions, and you'll find that fits very nicely in there. There you go.
And do your insurance?
Right, that's what the doctor's going to ask you every time.
If you start CT scanning and MRI scanning everybody, you're going to find things that don't look normal. But does that mean you should start then taking everything out and treating people? The answer is no.
Right, just because because they're like, now they're like, you don't really need a scan anymore, or this or that. We're just gonna cloud it all, and then we're just gonna so we'll just let the Rockefellers decide whether you live or die.
Control, they say, was exerted with corporate-wide computer software called ProMed.
The minute the cheap complaint and their age was placed into that computer, that system ordered a battery of tests that was already predetermined.
Okay, now on 60 Minutes they have this thing, thing about corruption in the medical business, and they're claiming these people are doctors. The guy talks like a law enforcement. He's like the complainant. It's a patient, but he's not a complainant. Okay, and he's not ordered. They're ordered like the judge orders. So anyway, and he looks like some sort of a militaristic law enforcement guy. But the point of this is that so they're saying that this is part there, and they lace these things with like twisted truths. But so in 60 Minutes, so they're talking about there's a medical software that kind of determines your diagnosis and determines your treatments from the computer rather than from the doctors, and that's along the same line. Yeah, that's just to keep everything running smoothly in the old insurance game.
Control, they say, was exerted with corporate-wide computer software called ProMed.
The minute the cheap complaint and their age was placed into that computer, that system ordered a battery of tests that was already predetermined.
And this was prior to being seen by the treating physician.
Mind you, this is coming from a non-physician. Somebody who never went to medical school, never did a residency, frankly has never seen or treated a patient, is telling a physician how they should be taking care of a patient and making decisions related to a patient.
It has nothing to do with patient safety and patient care. It has everything to do with generating revenues.
If that patient finds out what happened because you can't rein in your yapper, then heads are going to roll.
Consider my lips sewn shut, sir.
Okay, so then on all these shows on Scrubs, on Grey's Anatomy, on all the other ones, they're all everybody's getting yelled. All the doctors get yelled at in there, and they're like, "Don't tell the patients we did this, and don't tell anybody." It's like, so now you have to lie for the hospital, so so they don't get into trouble for things. They're conditioning you and getting you used to the fact that we're just corrupt to the core. We'll do, and you're not getting your doctor who in the hospital is being told not to tell you certain things. Because it's not in their best interest, even though it's against yours.
I only said that to get their kid into surgery, and if you repeat it, I'll have your ass fired before you finish talking. You understand?
The main element here that we have to deal with is the fact that fear is what's driving a lot of people, okay?
Most cancers are treated, and the reason for this panel was to increase awareness of the number of cancers that maybe might not need to be treated.
Okay, so there's a panel again. They're moving in. They're conditioning you for the panel and for the tree, and so now you're your own doctor won't decide on your treatment. So he's gonna be like, sorry, man, the computer said you got to do this, and then you're gonna be forced to do it. Whether it's the computer said you're forced to take this vaccination, or you're forced to get this treatment, and if you don't like it, then you're gonna be arrested or fined or something like that. So this is getting very tyrannical, very totalitarian, and very twisted, and certainly out of control, and certainly ridiculous, and all to line the pockets of a bunch of lying criminal murderers. Moving on.
This is not an attempt to get insurance companies not to cover people. It's to make our medical system work smarter for us.
Okay, this Dr. Evil is right there. She's like, she tells you, see, that's the other technique that she's like, this is not a technique for the insurance companies to deny treatment, and like, I'm like, oh no, what you think if you tell it right to my face, it doesn't make it true?
What a liar.
Really? Listen to what she said again. Listen to what she says.
This is not an attempt to get insurance companies not to cover people. It's to make our medical system work smarter for us.
This is just to make it smarter for us. Okay, you idiot.
What a liar.
What a liar. Moving on again. So now, so we got a panel. We're denying treatments, and we're the computer decides whether you live or die. This is all, and according to the insurance's algorithm models that they program into the computer, this is all wonderful direction we're heading in. And who designed the algorithms? But the eugenics, the good defined eugenicists at Cold Spring Harbor Laboratories, and you've got Rockefeller University. Moving on.
Smaller things that are discovered during screenings, giving them different names, making them a lot less scary.
Ooh, you see, we're gonna change the names and make them sound less scary. That should help your diagnosis also.
A panel of this nation's top doctors now says even the word cancer is often misused. They want to stop wasting time, money, and worry.
Right, just make it less scary and make you worry less by just changing the word. Like that'll work.
In fact, the group is even
see, this is irrational, and it's lending incredibility to like why are you giving me all this mumbo jumbo if this was legitimate, if any of it was legitimate? But it's not. It's like we have to have a panel now. We have to change the name. It's not cancer anymore. It's this. It's not. It's super duper XBL, fragilistic XBL stuff. Whatever. And they have a bunch of liars telling it to you, and you're like, what are you supposed to do? Like say, okay, I believe this crap? No, you have to reject this.
I spent that whole year between the first.
In fact, the group is even taking a closer look at what the word cancer means in some instances.
The panel, deciding what cancer. Like they're taking a closer look at what cancer means. I'm like, now? What, after we killed 1 in 3 Americans with it? Okay, now you're gonna take a look and see what cancer means now? Again, they're telling you to your face that this is a crock of garbage, okay? And I know that you've been devastated by it. And I told you my own father died of tragically, and not only tragically, horrifically, from he had a colostomy, he had colon cancer. He devastated his whole life. He was miserable. It was just tragic, okay? So and it's not because I have an extra grind about like I'm bitter or anything. It's because let's get to the bottom of this, like intelligent people, not by brainwashed program morons who are getting their information from stupid people on TV. Unless you insist, of course.
I spent that whole year between the first biopsy and the second biopsy preparing to die. I wasn't enjoying living. I was scared of the possibility that I might have cancer and that I would die.
Okay, so what's going on here now is that they're trying to tell you see, because the insurance company's like, listen, we don't want to pay for old people for cancer treatment, okay? You tell them they're going to die anyway, so just don't give them any more treatment. And, then we don't have to pay for anything. So now they're going to, then they can say, well, maybe we'll have to then tell them that they don't have cancer. Because if you tell them they have cancer, they're going to want treatment, and they're going to want the insurance companies to pay for it. So let's just change just tell them, don't tell them it's cancer then. Bingo. Problem solved. Brilliant, okay? And then, and just tell them, listen, you're old, you're dying soon anyway, no more treatment for you. That's how it works.
I spent that whole year between the first biopsy and the second biopsy preparing to die. I wasn't enjoying living. I was scared of the possibility that I might have cancer and that I would die.
So he's annoyed because he's a senior citizen, and he's annoyed that he didn't have cancer, but he might have, and he had like a lot of stress from that or something like that. Again, so they're going to try to get old people to say, you want to be like him, you want to be annoyed, or you want to just you're better off just not having a screening test. You know what? You're not eligible for cancer. You can't get cancer anymore because you don't have any money to pay. Your insurance company doesn't want to pay for it anyway. So let's just so you'll never get it now. It's not convenient. So the best way to that's surely the best way to never get cancer is not having. If you don't have any insurance, that's a great way not to get cancer, because if you're not paying for it, you ain't got. They're gonna be like, oh, you're cured. It went away, like Dr. Dean Riddell said at the beginning of the show. Yeah, it went away. I don't know what happened to your cancer. It just went away. You went away because you don't. Why? Because you said you're not going to pay for it. That's the best way to get rid of any disease from these days. Is just tell them you're not paying for it. They're like, oh, you're good. That's funny. You're healthy again. The minute you tell them you're not paying anymore, you're out of the. They're like, you're cut off because you're no good to anybody. If you're not paying for anything, unless you have kids that they can maim.
We know we waste 1/3 of our medical expenditures on things that aren't worth chasing or aren't worth treating. And you know what? We hurt people in the process.
You kidding?
Particularly if they are older and they have other health issues, that screening may not be the right choice for them.
Right, because screening, they might tell you have something, because that's what the screens are the screens are rigged to tell you have stuff. So, so the best, and again, they can't, once the screen says you have it, then people are going to be like, you have to treat me now, because I have something. So they're like, you know what, better off not taking the screen then. Then we don't have to worry about you telling us you want to be treated for something, or you want us to pay for some treatment that you pay, even though you've been paying into your Social Security and paying into your into your Medicaid and paying into your pensions and paying into your health care for your whole life. But no. Now you're not. What do you think we're going to pay? Now we're going to pay out your bills? No, that's not how it works. We're just going to steal your money and keep it and run away.
The National Cancer Institute says 10 to 15% of ovarian cancers seem to run in the family, and that unfortunately may well be what happened in the Brosnan family.
Okay, so that was Pierce Brosnan's family. Supposedly all the women have died from ovarian cancer. Just tragic, and so. And then of course, and it's amazing how it's always the best looking people in Hollywood are the ones. It's Pierce Brosnan, Angelina Jolie, this good-looking girl from American Idol. They're all like these very beautiful people, and they're the ones who are always like salesmen for the cancer industry, and that's exactly what they are. They're salespeople.
Yeah, they've got it. Everybody out there's got rabbititis. Ah!
You're a dog. Can't you just sniff cancer?
No, that's just a myth we started so we could stick our snouts in girls' boobs.
The conflicts of interest are criminal. This industry is deeply criminal, and it does not empower women with information. It exploits women for profit.
Angelina Jolie chose the double mastectomy. Melissa Etheridge got cancer and treated it successfully. Is one path superior to the other?
And the answer is no. But that's what the wonderful thing about medical technology is, that you have all of these choices.
I just found out my mom has breast cancer. Man, I sure got what was coming to me. I was a real jerk, and now they're gonna cut off my mom's boobs.
We're not taking away anybody's right to do things. We're simply forcing you to understand that you have to make the conscious decision.
This little man is not harmless. He's deadly.
Angelina Jolie revealing in this New York Times opinion piece that earlier this year, she had not just one, but both of her breasts removed.
They butchered you, but it was necessary butchering.
Yeah. And just that's not even the twisted part of that clip is that's not a joke. They butchered you, but it was a necessary butchering. The old necessary butchering.
This is 24-year-old Aylin Rose. She is Miss DC. She doesn't have breast cancer, but she has decided she too will have both of her breasts surgically removed. You see, Rose has a genetic mutation, which means there is a good chance she could develop the disease in the coming years.
My body is not the important thing. Being around for my kids someday is the important thing.
These cancer centers are making billions of dollars a year off of women that they terrify and keep ignorant.
And they say Aylin Rose doesn't have cancer, but she's going to get a very invasive is not even the proper word. It means very she's going to get butchered, okay, or her breast cut off, or something. She doesn't even have cancer. I mean, that's insane, and it doesn't make any. That's insane, and they're trying to convince people that's what people do. That's insane. Period. Insane.
Yes, I will have reconstructive surgery, and I'm so grateful that I live in the world that we live in now, and there can be reconstruction, but there are a lot of women who choose not to have reconstruction, and I think that's an important thing to note, that not having your breasts doesn't make you any less beautiful.
Okay, so she's laughing about reconstructing her breasts that she's planning to cut off because of cancer that she doesn't have yet, and she's laughing about it, and she's like, but I'm like, don't worry about it. You don't need your breasts to be beautiful. You don't need your breasts. You don't not need them to be beautiful either.
A doctor, a male doctor coming up with a way to make women's breasts bigger?
I think they'd say thank you. I mean, think of all the women who aren't happy with themselves, or the women who've had mastectomies, or whose breasts have been distorted by breastfeeding. I mean, when I think of my own mother...
All right, that's enough.
It's really, that was from the movie Breast Men, where the guy invents fake breasts, and she's talking about, and Aylin Rose is talking about like reconstructing, and so he's like, and I think about my own mom. He goes like, dude, I don't want to hear about your mom's breasts.
She is the epitome of Hollywood glamour and beauty, voted the most beautiful woman in the world many times over. But now Angelina Jolie has joined the growing ranks of American women who have tested positive for a high-risk breast cancer gene and taken the radical step of a preventive double mastectomy.
I think that it is very, very brave to get your breast removed, and I think it is dead on smart to say that they have nothing to do with your femininity.
Angelina Jolie is almost evangelizing this idea that women can be empowered by having their breasts surgically cut away, removed, to prevent a cancer that they don't even have.
Right, they're like, bravo, Angelina, for removing your breasts. She's like, and he says she's evangelizing. I mean, she hasn't said a word. She wrote something, or somebody, they credit her with writing something in an op-ed in the New York Times, and then all the media whores just pump it.
I think that this is brave beyond belief. I mean, good for her. Good for her.
And it's basically good for her. And it's basically just advertising for the testing, the test of $3,000.
And if you would like to better educate yourself here, learn more about the genetic testing that Angelina Jolie had, go to CNN.com/empoweredpatient.
Right, you see, if you want to get your breast removed, like Angelina Jolie, just go to CNN.com/empowered. You're empowered by mutilating your body.
They call it female power? To be mutilated? It's insane.
It's beyond insane.
You know, I have a smile on my face because, again, I don't have cancer, and I have a little boy now.
Yeah.
And if it is
That's
about...
the good news.
Yeah, it's great news. And if it's about, getting a different kind of boob, a better one, I'm cool with it.
Okay, so she's like, I don't have cancer. She doesn't have cancer. She got her breast, uterus, fallopian tubes, and that's the one, and ovaries taken out, but she doesn't have cancer? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? She doesn't have cancer. She said it. Look, listen. Okay, let me play that one again. She's like, I don't even have cancer. I'm like, wow. You talk about preemptive, pre-crime.
You know, I have a smile on my face because, again, I don't have cancer, and I have a little boy now.
Yeah.
And if it is
That's
about...
the good news.
Yeah, it's great news. And if it's about, getting a different kind of boob, a better one, I'm cool with it.
She's cool. Yeah, she's cool with that. She's cool with mutilating your body. And if you notice, there's another thread that goes on throughout all our lives at these points, which is everything is always like, we have to get the terrorists before they get us. We have to get the cancer before they get us. And cancer and terrorism have a very close, and it's all about fear-mongering you into doing things that you wouldn't normally do, because all because we should think the Rockefellers, came up with some very important information that you don't know about, and you have to go, take a drastic action to do something based on fear and haste, and with no evidence of proof of anything. Okay, I've showed you clips, and I'll continue to show you clip after clip after clips. They're like, well, none of it's been proven at all. There is no proof of genetic links to cancer. There's no proof of what cancer is. There's no proof that and there's certainly no proof that it's a virus, and there's certainly no proof that the HPV vaccines work. And there's no link. And then the lady goes, and there's no link to HPV and throat cancer, even though but we got to listen to loads of hype that there is. Okay, but then right at the end they're like, well, yeah, and by the way, none of this has been proven. So that last hour of hype I just gave you, disregard that. Keep it going. This is and keep it going. You're on the Max Ratt Deconstruction Zone. We'll keep it rocking. Let's go.
you choose to cut off your body parts, or that's not a choice, especially when you've been manipulated and feared or frightened in this way. And of course, this is something called genetic determinism, or I even call it genetic reductionism.
Cancer, and it's caused by a virus that's transmitted through oral sex. I mean, how courageous is that?
Michael Douglas is courageous, and Angelina Jolie, she's just an empowered woman, and this is all advertising, okay, for the genetic testing, for the cancer industry, for the all the drugs and all the money they make off all the procedures and this and that. And they have all the top dogs in Hollywood promoting it all for them. This is big money, big. Moving on.
The whole search for the cure, the run for the cure, buy these products for the cure, it's all a scam, Robert. They don't want a cure because treating women is too profitable. And it's so easy to have them manipulated by the fear that's put out by the cancer industry. They've got women running around, looking in the mirror, thinking, my breasts are going to kill me. It's so insane, it's so delusional, and it's so far from reality.
Well, I can relate to you because my sister...
So we talk about cures, and my questioning is not, I'm not starting with that cancer exists even, okay? I'm questioning that too, okay? And I don't know about you can cure, and according when it comes to these hoaxsters, it's a lot easier, a lot easier to have I just did my last show about Al-Qaeda for Dummies, so it's along the same lines as there is no Al-Qaeda. People maybe we'll catch them. I'm like, we're not catching them because there is nobody to catch, okay? Same thing with cancers. They're like, we're not curing it because there's nothing to cure, okay? It's a lot easier. It's cleaner. It's a cleaner system that way when you have a creation, a fabricated boogeyman all the time, okay? So you don't have to worry if the boogeyman fucks up or anything like that because you can make him anything you want. You just write it into the script. Moving on. With Barbara Walters from The View, more twisted stuff. So, and earlier from the same show, she's like, "What is what?" But now she seems to know she had ovarian cancer, or she had her own ovaries removed, according to her. But she's asking some young girl from American Idol what about cancer. I'm like, you're the old pro, Barbara, and I thought you and your sister died from ovarian cancer, and you had it. And you had your ovaries removed preemptively, and yet you're asking her what is cancer? So she's playing dumb, and that was all for her role in her little script of how, on the Cackling Woman show on The View. Sorry, threw a little misogyny in there for you. Keep going.
Well, I can relate to you because my sister died of ovarian cancer, and so I had my ovaries removed, even though supposedly at that point I didn't have to.
She had her ovaries removed, and supposedly at that point I didn't have to, she said. So what do you do it for then? Just, you figure it out. I figure I'll get a major surgery because even though I don't have to. Is anybody getting major surgeries because they don't have to, or getting body parts taken out of their body or cut out of their body because you don't have to? I would imagine that's the only reason you would ever do that is if you had to, and then I would argue that I don't know if there ever is a reason to have to cut your body parts out. It doesn't seem. I don't care. It's going to fall off, or if I'm going to cut it. Yeah, I guess okay. You can now. A doctor will say, "What about gangrene or things like that?" Okay, we can. There are sure exceptions to every rule, but there's no evidence I need to cut out my ovaries or your ovaries or my testicles or whatever, or any other sex organ that I need or like to have the use of.
To get your information from a woman like that is complete stupidity. I'm sorry, but it's insane. She doesn't know anything about these things, and she proves it by having her breast removed when there's no cancer there.
I just wanted my care to be simpler, and you have to talk to your doctor about it because some people feel that if you take the uterus out, it's a simpler way to treat it after.
Oh, so now she's like, I got my uterus and fallopian tubes cut out of convenience. It's just easier that way, it's a lot easier to I don't have to walk as much if I cut my legs off. It's a lot less walking. Okay, that's why I just cut my legs off. Why you do that? Next, I'm like, I don't know. I thought it was just more convenient and I don't have to walk so much.
And that's just the beginning. She'll be back until she runs out of money or runs out of time.
Right, when you run out of money, it's over. But she said, I wanted my care to be simpler. She was like, yeah, you know, I cut my head off because I didn't want to think too much. It was, you know, it was stressing me out.
I just wanted my care to be simpler, and you have to talk to your doctor about it because some people feel that if you take the uterus out, it's a simpler way to treat it after.
And that's just the beginning. She'll be back until she runs out of money or runs out of time.
And this is all insanity, yet they portray it in the media where it's just where we get all our information from, unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on which way you want to look at it. But so she's like, so this is all being portrayed in the media. It's like, oh, yes, what people do, you know. She's like, it was much easier just to get everything removed. It was the care would be simpler that way. Whatever that's supposed to be. Insane. That doesn't make any sense. It's just beyond insane. But this whole thing is beyond insane with people getting their body parts cut off by some psycho that doesn't know shit about anything to do with health or nutrition, and only knows to do how to just prescribe a drug that he's bought and paid for and pimped by a drug company. It's just like, it's just beyond. It doesn't make any. It's like we're so far away from anything logical or just logical that it's beyond. So. And now we're discussing whether or not you should get both breasts cut off, or one ball and one breast, or your ovary and your uterus, or so. Is it easier? It's more convenient if you just cut your uterus. I cut the donut hole out of the donut. I'm not even sure what that means, cutting your uterus out. Nor should you, because it doesn't make any sense. Keep going.
Surgery is the only answer. I told you that yesterday.
Old Marcus Welby's like, surgery, man, the only answer. Told you that.
Unfortunately, removing it would require a very expensive surgery that's not covered by your TGI Fridays gift card.
Right, you better get some good insurance. I like that clip. Let me play that one again.
Unfortunately, removing it would require a very expensive surgery that's not covered by your TGI Fridays gift card.
Yeah, you're going to have to get some better coverage. Moving on. Let's keep going from there.
I told you, delay is dangerous.
Delay is dangerous, no.
If we don't go right now, your son's gonna die.
Delay is dangerous.
We have to remember it goes way down, not zero, because there are still some breast cells left, but it's a major risk reduction.
Okay, so she's like, if there's breast cells left, then you still can get cancer in those cells. So she's like, yeah, the more you cut off, the less exposure. You can't get cancer if you're in your leg, if your leg isn't on your body any longer. Well, you could, but that won't be. Then you won't have a problem. That won't be a problem for you. Yeah, that makes lots of sense, doesn't it? Yeah, sure. Like, they just tell you that, like, okay, Max, Max, you're crazy. I'm like, no, yeah, you're right. These people make a lot of sense to me.
She's what you call a disinformation agent, just spouting bullshit everywhere.
For this type of BRCA mutation, Diane, there's an up to 50%.
She's spouting bullshit everywhere.
For this type of BRCA mutation, Diane, there's an up to 50% increased risk of ovarian cancer, which can be treated with removal of the ovaries, a separate surgery.
It encourages women to mutilate themselves in order to feel like they're going along with the celebrity popular movements, and it's sickening, actually.
Christina Applegate had breast cancer in one and decided to get the other one removed as a preventative measure.
Okay, so now there's another star. Oh, Christina Applegate. Wendy Williams has to tell you that because she's just like a hypester as well. Keep it moving.
So, as you can imagine, with a surgery of this magnitude, there were some unforeseen complications. The bone erosion was much greater than initially anticipated. We had to remove part of the hip and pelvis as well as most of the right psoas muscle. We also had to remove a good amount of the sheath tissue on the sciatic nerve. It's not going to be an easy road back, but he's going to be okay. He's going to be okay.
I'm afraid I have some very bad news. Your wife's going to be a vegetable. You'll have to bathe her, feed her, and care for her the rest of her life.
Oh, my God.
No, I'm just kidding. She's dead.
Yeah, and you know, that was a little bit crude joke, but the movie 50-50, their kid just went through cancer surgery, and they freak him out and scare him half to death with, here, we'll play that again and we'll keep it moving.
So, as you can imagine, with a surgery of this magnitude, there were some unforeseen complications. The bone erosion was much greater than initially anticipated. We had to remove part of the hip and pelvis, as well as most of the right psoas muscle. We also had to remove a good amount of the sheath tissue around the sciatic nerve. It's not going to be an easy road back, but he's going to be okay.
He's going to be okay.
Just twisted.
I'm afraid I have some very bad news. Your wife's going to be a vegetable. You'll have to bathe her, feed her, and care for her the rest of her life.
Oh, my God.
No, I'm just kidding. She's dead.
Yeah, don't worry. You don't have to bathe her and clean her the rest of her life.
Yeah, my advice is to go upstairs, pack your bags, and leave a nice note. Find yourself a healthy woman. I love my wife. I do. But I wouldn't do it over again.
More fear-mongering.
The ideas, the thoughts, and the opinions of the masses are being manipulated through fear.
Cool. It's probably testicular cancer.
Cool.
So what is it? A disease that attacks his brain, heart, and testicles.
First of all, your hair falls out, then your balls are going to shrink, and then to make matters worse, your dick becomes a constant source of disappointment.
Now we're into the testicular prostate segment of the show, where we've already showed how they scare the crap out of women and mutilate and maim them, and now we're going to go to the other side of the curd. Here we go.
Oh, wasn't that scary? Oh, I got scared, kids. Oh.
The initial surgery to remove the infected testicle, and then months of chemotherapy, and then another surgery to remove 2 lesions on the brain because it had spread all over the place.
Lance Armstrong.
They butchered you, but it was necessary butchering.
Yeah, he's like, I had my testicles removed, I had my lesions in my brain removed.
I'm happy. Cancer's made me happy.
Right, and that was from the Big C show, where they're like, yeah, cancer's the greatest. You know, we love it. We love cancer here in the old media.
My wife and I, we love watching like Dateline, 2020, those shows. But you know how every week they will feature a disease, and I swear to you, every week, no matter what the disease is, my wife has it. I have every one of those symptoms. I'm like, you do not have testicular cancer.
Men who started with the highest blood levels of omega-3 fatty acids, the type found in fatty fish and fish oil supplements, had a 71% increased risk of developing a deadly form of prostate cancer.
Okay, so they're telling people, when usually you look in the media and they're going to tell you, like, oh, you know, fish oils and omega-3s are good for you, and now they're like, oh, by the way, though, it might cause cancer. It does, you know, causes cancer and prostate cancer. So that's to confuse you and just give you the runaround moving.
You think that you got it in prison? Why? Yeah, that's my feeling, because I was totally healthy when I went in jail, and I started having problems with my prostate right there. I remember. Okay, so Tommy Chong is like he caught cancer in prison, like whatever, however you get it, like that. I mean, again, you know, the cancer you get it any way you can. It just happens. That's like Charlie Brown said right at the beginning of the show.
The real issue was obviously the fact that I was diagnosed with testicular cancer, a sensitive health issue for a young man in the state of Texas. It's not the first thing. Hey guys, guess what? Check this out. I mean, it wasn't that way, so.
Yeah, Bob Schieffer and Lance Armstrong getting a big yucking laugh, yucking it up about cancer and stuff. You know, and like you wonder if somebody had to go through what he had to go through, how like he would think that was everybody would think that was so funny. Again, but no, but I'm the one who's that people are mad at, not because a guy who supposedly had his testicles removed is laughing about it.
Patient's name is Mo Weinberg.
Cancer is confined to the right testicle. Dr. Turk will be assisting with the removal.
Remove his testicles.
And he said, your left testicle feels funny. I want to do a biopsy. And I'm like, a biopsy on my ball? So what do you stick like a needle in there and you take shit out? And he said, a needle? Robert, who told you that? I'm going to take your testicle out and then we do the biopsy. Like, oh. But no needle, right? I said, but if it's nothing, how do you put it back in? He said, we don't. I said, so then I got one ball for the rest of my life? He said, Robert, there's a lot of guys walking around with one ball. Wow, what a great club to be in. I couldn't be in the big dick club, right?
I felt like, well, I'm winning. You know, scoreboard says I'm winning. When the chest x-rays would come back and I would see the tumors in the lungs starting to shrink, I'm starting to win.
Wow, winning. Winning. You starting to get the concept now? Winning. It's like, winning, winning.
Okay, Lance Armstrong, he's like, he's winning. Cancer's a winning deal for him. And then so I threw in the Charlie Sheen winning just to, you know, to entertain you with, we're all winning with cancer here. Everybody's winning, of course. Of course they are.
God forbid if men start doing this and doctors convince them they carry a gene for testicular cancer, what are they going to do? Run around cutting their balls off, Robert? Is that what guys are going to do? See? Cut their balls off and then claim to be heroes for it? Really?
And preemptively, so you're like, I cut my balls off because I didn't want to get cancer in them. I'm like, I mean, you surely won't get cancer in them if you cut them off. That's a no-brainer, so to speak. No ballser.
My announcement is that I was diagnosed with prostate cancer about a month ago, and I'm going to start treating it with cannabis oil, or hemp oil, or pot oil.
There you go. Old Tommy Chong is treating his prostate cancer with pot oil. I'm not sure how he administers that treatment, and I'm not sure if I even want to know. But again, you know, you wonder if how real these people are. I don't want to go in quite that far, but in other words, I will go as far as to say, like, he was diagnosed with something that doesn't exist, but I don't want to say that maybe he's playing along all the way. I'm not quite sure of that, but I wouldn't doubt it with these people, especially with Lance Armstrong, or all these people. If you ask me, do I think Angelina Jolie had her breasts removed already? Of course not. Like, no. And like I said, Jerry, that's why she doesn't appear in front of everybody and talk about it, because she might not have the she might have too many. She might not be able to. She's probably not good enough actress to pull that off. She's good looking enough, but she's not good. She's not an actress. Keep it going.
Have you heard of a bee sting treatment for cancer?
Heard of it?
Yeah, there's this doctor in Canada who does it, and you get stung by a lot of bees, and it throws your immune system into overdrive. And there's this one guy, he was cured spontaneously.
All right, so she's talking about bee sting therapy in that show, The Big C again, and her doctor's like, yeah, I've heard of those stuff like that. He's rolling his eyes like, you know, like, okay, we're in Quackville again, just to bolster the credulity of the real quack, who's the doctor who told you had cancer to begin with, the oncologist. Moving forward.
Coffee enemas, are you doing that yet? Because we can do that as soon as you brew a fucking pot of coffee.
Okay, coffee enemas is a cancer cure. So enema, I guess you can picture how you do that. You just squirt some coffee up your butt, and that'll cure your cancer. And so either you go with the doctor and the chemo and his quackery to murder you, or you're on the other end of the spectrum where you're going with coffee enemas. What about rational thought? Is there any, or critical thought? Is there anybody with that way of approaching things? No such thing. No, that doesn't exist. Okay, everybody's either chop out my breasts off or give me a coffee enema. Those are or give me chemo, or stick something in my veins that you have to wear gloves to touch. Okay, moving on.
I know a lot of people want to send blankets or water. Just send your cash.
I don't dismiss the alternative world completely, right? Acupuncture, biofeedback meditation, a lot of my patients use them as supplements to what they're doing with Western medicine.
to supplement, but not to cure.
Make themselves feel better.
There you go. So now he's like, make yourself feel better. So he is dismissing it, and he's saying, you know, the only way is Western medicine. All that does is maim and kill people and make their hair fall out and lose all this weight and destroy their cognitive functions and every other function. And then, or you can chop things off, or burn things within a microwave. Or get a coffee enema. Okay, again, what about rational thought? What about what is going on, and what is it that you see in that thing, except for on shadow in a mammogram? Moving on.
Resistors to mind reprogramming will be exterminated for the good of the state.
Right, we're always killing is always for the good of the state.
So, to me, you don't have to be very smart to succeed in science. You just have to not be dumb.
Nobel laureate Dr. James Watson. Isn't that an intellectual little clip from Dr. James Watson? And everyone's like, oh, you guys are all laughing it up. How dumb you are.
So, to me, you don't have to be very smart to succeed in science. You just have to not be dumb.
I would argue that guy's on a green screen too, or in a stage, because if you look at the conference that he's doing, that sounds like canned laughter, like everybody just hits the laughter in and out, and that wasn't even funny anyway, and then certainly not in an intellectual discussion on cancer.
Mom, a quack is a quack, whether he comes from the South Seas or lives right here in the city.
Quack is a quack.
The code word for competition was quackery.
Right. Anybody who doesn't want to buy into the chemo radiation, cut things off, Rockefeller University protocols is a quack. No, I think it's the other way around, folks. I think all this stuff that people are doing is outright nonsense. Okay, none of it has any basis in any type of logic at all. But when you're motivated by fear and driven by hype and fear and there is no logic, critical thought here. This is all just out of control, and people have been so devastated and so ruined financially and emotionally and physically that there's nobody out there even thinking clearly or straight and or putting this stuff out there. Like, let's take a step back and look at this thing for a second. That's what I'm doing here in this show. It's a long show. I'm powering through. We got more to go. Hang in there with me. Take a break. Come back. It's recorded. You can listen to it anytime. We're questioning cancer. We're moving forward.
When you're looking for fraud, it's staring you right in the face.
Sure is, and that's staring. Yeah, it's illogical and it's nonsensical, and the problem is, like, oh, don't talk about it because it's so tragic and it's hurt so many people. I'm like, I know, but that's how we got to get through this, is by talking about it, okay, and not by. But you've been trained and conditioned through the media also to attack anybody who says, well, this isn't crazy to me. No, it's not. No, it's not. Come on. How can you say that? These are doctors. They know more. You didn't go to medical school. They did. I'm like, come on. So what? The same guy who went to medical school was also eating his boogers when we were little kids in school. Okay, so and I know plenty of doctors, and I grew up in a well-to-do Jewish area. I certainly knew my share of doctors, and none of them were so intellectual, magically intellectual that I couldn't they can't explain anything to me. No, of course they can't, because there is nothing to explain. It's all indoctrination and mind and brainwashing. The doctors, especially, particularly too, and the doctors are manipulated through, like, you're going to lose your job and get fired if you don't do what we tell you, and we're controlling you through the insurance companies and through big pharma and those type of things. That's who controls them. They're just whores. They're getting pimped. Moving forward.
The doctor let me look at my blood through the microscope. I could see so many things in such a tiny little drop. It tells us a lot about our health.
Okay, that's Charlie Brown again. She's saying the doctor let her look at her blood through the microscope. First of all, that's you see there, that's again brainwashing little kids into thinking that's how it works. No, and I spoke to doctors recently, as recent as the last couple of weeks, And I asked them, how does that work? And they said there's a company called LabCorp, and there's very many other companies in a similar realm that you take a blood test and you send it out to them, and who owns that? The same people who are bringing you all these diseases and cancers, and that are there. Like, just take our word for it. So they send you back again. And so when you send them that blood test, you also send them the questionnaire answers that they filled out, and then they already have the information that they have on you. So they're like, oh, let's check it out. Does he have a house free and clear? And he has, he's $300,000 in equity in his house. All right, good. Let's give him something to take a chunk of that $300,000, make him get a second mortgage on his house or something like that. Okay, so Charlie Brown is, but in Charlie Brown, they're saying that the doctor let her look in the microscope, like the doctor has a microscope in his office. No. That's, I don't know what planet they're on, but that's not how it works around these ways, folks.
The doctor let me look at my blood through the microscope. I could see so many things in such a tiny little drop. It tells us a lot about our health.
When you use a microscope, finally the hidden complexity is revealed.
Okay, that was the guy from my brain mapping show, who was the foremost brain genome mapper from MIT, and he's like, a microscope is like the coolest, man. I'm like, everybody's like, yeah, you don't have a microscope, so you'll never understand this either. Again, just to be like, you don't understand it. I do. I know about the magic of medicine. You don't. So you're not qualified to question me. And that's some bullshit right there, because I am. Okay, buddy? I am, and you're not qualified to even debate me. And I promise, I think I laid that, I'll lay that gauntlet out anytime, anywhere. I said, I'm ready to debate anybody on earth in this category, and I debate you. I know enough that I know what the cells are. I know what a lot of the terminology is. I've researched it extensively, and I'm telling you that I don't believe that, and if Dr. Watson is the best you got, then I'm in good shape moving forward.
In the 1920s, Rockefeller conceived the idea of the science of man agenda, and she said, quote, the motivation behind the enormous investment was to develop human sciences as a comprehensive and applied framework of social control grounded in natural, medical, and social sciences. Its aim was toward human engineering. The conjunction of cognitive and social goals had a strong historical connection to eugenics.
Okay, so Rockefeller conceived the science of man agenda, and that was to manipulate, socially engineer people. Okay, and they're doing it through molecular biology. Moving forward.
Cold Spring Harbor, New York, 1910. Charles B. Davenport, along with Harry H. Laughlin, both biologists and members of the American Breeders Association, found the Eugenics Record Office with financial help from the Carnegie Institution. The ERO would be the headquarters of eugenic research in the United States for the next 34 years. Okay, so the Cold Spring Harbor Eugenics Record Office, okay? You can't make this stuff up, folks. Cold Spring, okay, the Eugenics Record Office is at Cold Spring Harbor. I'm going to read this from Wikipedia again. Founded by Mary Harriman, widow of the railroad baron E.H. Harriman, the Rockefeller family, and the Carnegie Institution, until 1939, and it was founded in 1910. In 1944, they closed it, but they didn't close it. They just changed the name on the door, because now it's called the Cold Spring Harbor Laboratory. It's the same exact location in the same building. And like you said again, they mentioned this guy Laughlin just then in that clip, and this guy Davenport, and they said the ERO advocated laws that led to the forced sterilization of many Americans. It categorized as socially inadequate. That's eugenics office. That's where they discovered DNA. Okay, and cancer, and all these cancers, and that's where Dr. Watson is coming out of as well. It's right there in your face. Okay, so moving forward, again, we're talking about, now I'm going to try to talk about who's behind all this stuff. In fact,
if you're getting the idea that this stuff is very sketchy and very shady, and there is no evidence of any, except for except for what these people told you, which I'm telling you is that's the truth. And then you have to look at the quality of these people or the credibility of these people, and there is none. In fact, the credibility is clear. They're credible in the fact that they're a bunch of eugenicists, murdering, racist criminals, okay, who are funding Nazis and Kaiser Wilhelm Institute and the Cold Spring Harbor laboratories. This is it's plain as day. It's clear as can be. Now, so you get the Eugenics Research Office at Cold Spring Harbor. Then you got Dr. Watson here again.
It's an exciting place where people help each other instead of weed each other out.
Okay, he's talking about the Cold Spring Harbor Laboratory. It's an exciting place where we don't weed each other out. Okay, isn't that an interesting terminology he uses moving forward?
So, hello, my name is Emily Harms. I'm the Associate Dean here at Rockefeller University.
Okay, Emily Harms, like she's harming people, Harms, is H-A-R-M-S, Harms, like it's spelled, like it sounds, is the Associate Dean at Rockefeller University. I mean, you want to, okay, I'm picking on her name now. I mean, whatever. That's just a very interesting name for somebody working for murderers. Okay, her name is Harms.
My government will also take forward plans for a new national curriculum.
Okay, the Queen's taking forward plans on her school curriculums, which is where I'm going with this. I'm going into the medical schools and the medical practices and how, and this is the background segment of the show. Moving forward, you get the picture right here. We're talking about eugenics. We're talking about who funds it all. We're talking about and the very disturbing part is that all the cancer information and the top molecular quote unquote biology places in the world are also the eugenics laboratories. Okay, and just do a little homework on eugenics. Okay, it's not good. Okay, it's about breeding people and exterminating undesirables and inadequate socialists and socially engineering humans. And it won't end well. And it certainly, and listen, I'm a big, tall, used to be more handsome than I am now, but so I got the good genes, so to speak. But this is a crock of garbage by a bunch of racist, murdering criminals. Period. Okay, eugenics. Look it up. It's running out of the same place that the cancer people are running out of. And I'm sorry, but that should be disturbing to you. It should be. It better be.
John D. Rockefeller Sr. contributed a large amount of money to build the Cold Spring Harbor Laboratory in the early 1900s, which housed the Eugenics Records Office from 1910 to 1944. Rockefeller influence also spread overseas to Germany, where the Kaiser Wilhelm Institute for Psychiatry and the Kaiser Wilhelm Institute for Eugenics, Anthropology, and Human Heredity resided. Much of the money used to run these facilities came directly from Rockefeller. These institutes became centers for Nazi eugenics programs during the reign of Adolf Hitler.
Okay, Kaiser Wilhelm Institute is on record, funded and created by Rockefeller in Germany, and was running a lot of the Nazi eugenics programs in Nazi Germany. So if you're a northeastern liberal Jewish person like I was raised, and you grew up around people who were in Nazi concentration camp and maybe had families who were exterminated there, as such, that's where it's coming out of. It was coming out of the Kaiser Wilhelm Institute, and that was their eugenics programs once again. What else do? They discover cancer.
They train these physicians in the United States by targeting certain institutions, for instance, Harvard, Johns Hopkins, Duke University, University of Wisconsin, were targeted to be their institutions, Caltech. And so they filled it with their people, with their agenda, their social planning agenda and social control agenda. And these people eventually became professors as well, or sent their students as professors in the foreign countries. So it's over the period of time since 1901, they've essentially taken over most of the major universities throughout the world through this interlocking directorate. Now, to show how much money these people have, they did something that was even more powerful, and that is they made sure their people became the advisors for the government when the government was giving out money for these things.
only AMA-approved doctors could legally practice medicine. In a brief 20 years, the AMA came to dominate medical practice. Organized Medicine launched a media campaign to associate the empirics with quacks. The code word for competition was quackery.
The Rockefeller Foundation created molecular biology with the aim of human engineering and social control. And that his goal was to eliminate people in the world who he felt was unfit for life. Well, as I said, they turned over the domestic behavioral sciences to the Ford Foundation and the Rockefeller Foundation and its Carnegie corporate foundation turned their attention to the international arena to promote this social engineering. What Rockefeller in 1920 coined the science of man. Basically, it was eugenic because he was funding the majority of the eugenic organizations in the world in the 1910-1920 period. Well, the Ford Foundation essentially is controlled by the Rockefeller Foundation. Virtually all the major foundations are controlled by the Rockefeller Foundation. The way they did that is they had their people put in as trustees of these other foundations, and eventually they took over control. So by interlocking, most of the major foundations, now the Bill Gates Foundation, is directly and indirectly controlled by the Rockefeller Foundation.
He's a Frankenstein, and they're all alike. It's in their blood. They can't help it. All those scientists, they're all alike. They say they're working for us, but what they really want is to rule the world.
Surgery became viable with anesthesia and infection control, and doctors advocated expensive, radical operations. These in turn produced the need for a large, lucrative hospital system.
Right, so at the turn of the century, they started having more high-tech techniques for surgeries and for sanitation and sanitary practices, and they had refrigeration, and they had sterilization equipment that they never had before. So now they're like, okay, and then so how are we going to make more money? Like, we're going to start cutting people open. That opened up a whole new world, and Rockefeller's jumped in with the Rockefeller Foundation. Like, oh, we'll figure we have a molecular biology, and that's a buzzword is for like, oh, you don't understand, it's too technical for you, and so then they just start making shit up. That's it.
His entire plan for this funding was not benevolent; it was to control human beings in the way they would think, to control human thought. And to get rid of people that he considered undesirable. Well, he had all the money at his disposal from Carnegie Foundation, the Rockefeller Foundation, the Laura Spelman Rockefeller Memorial, the Ford Foundation. So he had a massive amount of foundation money. In addition, as being advisors to the federal government, all of the money that the government was spending in these areas, which was much greater than even the foundations, was controlled by the foundations itself. So eventually today, they have the wealth of the entire world at their disposal to carry out these programs.
Carry out eugenics programs.
Founded in 1901 as the Rockefeller Institute for Medical Research, this was the country's first institution devoted exclusively to biomedical research. Over its long history, Rockefeller has been the setting of some of the world's most revolutionary biological discoveries.
Okay, here we go. So Rockefeller University was where they had these biological discoveries. Okay, listen to what they tell you. Every medical hoax going is coming out of Rockefeller University specifically, and they're bragging about it. That's on the Rockefeller University promo video. Just okay, so we haven't told you what their discoveries are yet. Okay, you ready? Here we go.
Such as the finding that DNA transmits hereditary information.
They discovered that they discovered DNA at Rockefeller University.
That cholesterol is linked to heart disease.
Cholesterol is linked to heart disease, whatever cholesterol is. Another one of those, like, nobody knows what it is, but it's bad for you.
That cancer can be caused by a virus, and that obesity...
Okay, they discovered that cancer can be caused by a virus. Oh, thanks, okay? And again, these are the people who also fund Nazi eugenics programs, okay? And they also discovered DNA, coincidentally enough, which just has to do with, like, oh, your genetics. Oh, isn't that interesting? Isn't that convenient? And then they're like, and so, okay, so they're they just...
such as the finding that DNA transmits hereditary information, that cholesterol is linked to heart disease, that cancer can be caused by a virus, and
okay, cancer can be caused by a virus, DNA is, and cholesterol.
That obesity can be caused by the weight-regulating gene leptin. Okay,
and obesity is a gene, so you got a fat gene.
Research by Rockefeller scientists led to the development for vaccines of...
The research of Rockefeller scientists developed vaccines. Another bunk science represented as safe and effective. And you heard my man go, but evidence suggests neither. Okay.
Influenza.
Neither safe nor effective. Okay. I mean, it doesn't work and it's not safe.
And meningitis, to the discovery of blood groups, and to the design of cocktail drug treatment for HIV.
They designed cocktail drug treatment for HIV, and what was the other ones? I mean, it's just all twisted.
Scientists led to the development for vaccines.
Development for vaccines.
Influenza and meningitis, to the
They developed flu vaccines, which are very well known as a scam and a hoax, and don't work, and aren't safe, and damage kids, children.
Discovery of blood groups.
They discovered blood groups. Isn't that convenient? You're like, oh, you got the wrong type of blood, you got the wrong DNA. You know, we're gonna have to have a panel to deny your care and sterilize you, and you know, just go down the hall. To our eugenics office, and they'll get you they'll get you into a sterilization program immediately.
And to the design of cocktail drug treatment for HIV.
Oh, and just, you know what, and you need a cocktail of drugs for HIV that I designed for you from, you know, me and old Joseph Mengele designed that for you from Mr. the Nazi war doctor, criminal. Okay, isn't that just dandy? So good. They're coming up with lots of great discoveries over there on York Avenue at the Rockefeller University, and they're only in your good interest to help you moving forward.
Well, he now has absolute control of all of medical care in the United States, as well as has moved out into the world. He made it international.
And the schools literally were taken over by the financial interests that put up the money. Now, what happened as a result of that is that the schools did receive an infusion of money. They were able to build new buildings. They were able to add expensive equipment to their laboratories. But at the same time as doing that, they skewed the whole thing in the direction of pharmaceutical drugs.
The pharmaceutical industry first gained control of the teaching system. Then it gave the AMA the power to exclude all other doctors from practicing. Then it took over the entire drug testing process, while heavily influencing the medical publications that reviewed those drugs. And finally, Big Pharma extended its control over the federal entity that is supposed to verify those drugs' safety and efficacy. At the opposite end are the sick citizens, and in the middle are the doctors who must cure them based on information they can only get from the pharmaceutical industry, which can no longer be verified.
Right, and is controlled by a very small group of people, which as I've been laying out for you. So it all comes back to the same people. Like, yep, you got cancer. I invented cancer, and you got it. Isn't that just great? And you're wondering, and you know, and now your family's been devastated. Your mom's been murdered or mutilated, and your dad's been killed off, and all the people you love. And then you get, you know, and yes, of course, it's a very touchy subject, and it's very despicable and disgusting, and but don't shoot the messenger. And we're asking questions about this. I mean, the answers the answers we're getting are all pointing in the same exact place, which is really like what this what I feel like this show is supporting is that I mean there isn't. I mean, and you want to go find some contrary information for me? Go find it, because there is not any. I've checked thoroughly, okay, and not only that, but there's nobody even debating that this is where all these people, all the information, they're the foremost molecular biology labs in the world, and it's both. It's Cold Spring Harbor and it's Rockefeller, and they're both the same, okay, and they're both. And Cold Spring Harbor used to have a sign on the door that said eugenics.
Key thing you can do to reduce population growth is actually improve health.
Okay, there's Mr. Orwell Gates, who said the way you reduce population is by improving health, and I'm sorry, but that is not that is illogical, and that's not true. Okay, the way so it would seem that the better health would increase growth, but no, and so he's trying to tell you that because he's like, because these are vaccines I'm giving people are making them healthier, and that's how we reduce population. Because and he's assuming that you want to reduce the population because you're a liberal Democrat from the Northeast, and all these people are inconveniencing your lifestyle. All these poor people and indigent and brown people are inconveniencing me. So, so Bill Gates is like, well, what we need to do? We need to give them better health with my vaccine so we can reduce their population. You're like, okay, that doesn't make any sense, but that's what you want to do. You keep it moving.
The fear machine is well oiled by petrochemical dollars and a near worldwide monopoly in healthcare. It works overtime to prevent the truth.
Okay, the fear machine, then she's saying well oiled by petrochemical dollars because the people who are funding the fear machine and all these programs are the people who were the oil barons of the past, the Rockefeller, which is Standard Oil, which is now called Exxon. Moving forward, so Gates is like, we need to reduce the population. Here we go with reducing population. Now here's the eugenics craze. So now they're going to show you these same people want to kill your ass too, but they're going to say, we want to reduce your population growth of the types of people we don't that are less desirable.
It was pointed out at the conference that growth is most efficiently managed by the private sector. But regulation of the process by national governments and international bodies is also needed. And once again, the United Nations should certainly be among the catalysts and coordinators of this process.
William Rockefeller.
Okay, so David Rockefeller is saying that, we need to regulate growth, meaning population, population growth. And he said, and who should be running it? The United Nations that I run. Okay, so there you go from him, and here's a little short clip about his dad.
William Rockefeller made a name for himself as an itinerant peddler. Today we'd call him a scam artist.
Okay, that would be David's great grandfather, frankly, William Rockefeller. He's like, today we call him a scam artist. Okay, and then you know what? You might want to call them that too today, even though very wealthy and powerful scam artists, but they're scam artists.
Black women, by the way, African Americans, are targeted for chemotherapy and breast cancer.
Black women are targeted for chemotherapy and breast cancer. I wonder why. Because they're undesirable and they don't have the proper genes that old Rockefeller think in university and the DNA people think they don't have.
Women who are HIV positive are 4 to 5 times more likely to develop cervical cancer than other women. It's a very fast-growing cancer all over sub-Saharan Africa.
Cervical cancer is a very fast-growing cancer all over sub-Saharan Africa. But you know that. But the problem with the cancers in poorer places or Africa, or places where they don't want to pay for anything, not the people, but the government, the criminals. We can't tell everybody they have cancer because then they're going to have to treat them for it. We have to tell them they have a cancer, incurable something or something. So they have cervical cancer cervix is a reproductive organ also, which is of course fits right into like that. So you know what? Let's treat you. Let me just help you out here with the. It's not like don't worry. It's not we're not trying to exterminate you. No, it's a legitimate thing. You have cervical cancer.
Certain blood pressure drugs
in sub-Saharan Africa
may increase the risk for breast cancer.
Okay, blood pressure drugs, which are very widely prescribed to the brown people of the world, are because it's funded through the government rather than through private. Because blood pressure drugs are easy to come by, and they're going to give and they're giving you breast cancer. That's what So again, because black women,
by the way, African Americans are targeted for chemotherapy and breast cancer.
They're targeted for chemotherapy and breast cancer. Moving forward, keep it going.
Certain blood pressure drugs may increase the risk for breast cancer.
Too many people are using too much stuff. But if there were less people, they'd be using less stuff.
There you go. You need less people. These people. Too many people using too much of my stuff. That's Ted Turner, the psycho population control guy.
What do you see as the biggest challenges in conservation?
The growing human population.
Prince Philip, the Queen's husband. She's like, the growing human population is the biggest problem we got. He said,
It is said that the people are revolting.
You said it. They stink on ice.
Really? Thank you, my Queen. Your Majesty.
Child survival is the new green. It's only by child surviving that we will stop population growth.
That's Gates' buddy, Hans Gorling, and he said child survival is a new green, and child survival is a new Orwellian term for killing kids. Killing kids is a new green, according to Nazi Hans Gorling, who is just dark and dark.
I'm Dr. Kill Patient from the Board of Health.
There you go. Dr. Kill Patient is on the case from the Board of Health. Dr. Kill Patient is all over the cancer industry.
We've got to stabilize the population. When I was born, there were
what's wrong with the population? I mean,
with too many people.
Ted Turner's obsessed with the population. He's down. He's down with the program. Yes, he is. There's too many people. And then Charlie Rose like, what's wrong with the population? He's like, there's too many people. He's like, there's too many people using too much stuff. That's the good news. Here's the good news.
The good news is...
Yeah, the good news is, because you know who's Mr. Good News is Bill Gates. He's Mr. Good News.
And the good news is that as you make those breakthroughs, the population growth in the country goes down. These are all about saving lives. The population growth in the country goes down. The good news is the population growth in the country goes down.
That's the good news, all right. We're full of good news here. It's great, not good news, it's great news.
Yeah, so there's great news, actually.
Good news, great news. It's always great. We're killing kids. It's a new green. We're killing kids. It's the good news.
That's the good news. Yeah, it's great news.
Oh, yeah.
We still have the poorest billion.
Yeah, we still. That's the Nazi guy Gates' buddy. He's like, still got that poor billion we need to get rid of.
That's the good news here.
Too many people are using too much stuff. But if there were less people, they'd be using less stuff.
That would be the answer to all. Yeah, just
and stabilize the population. Population is another one of our intractable problems that we have to deal with.
So I think we're being run by maniacs for maniacal ends,
You don't look at Obama and say, oh, this is Obamacare and this is Obama that and Obama this. And if we could just get rid of Obama, everything would be fine. No, it's the string pullers in the shadows, the Rockefellers, the Brzezinskis, the Kissingers, the people that are members of Council on Foreign Relations.
A sunburn is a sign that the sun's UV rays have mutated the DNA in your skin cells.
Oh, yeah. So, a sunburn is a sign that the sun is mutated the DNA in your skin cells. Did you know that?
Because of the high risk of skin cancers, you want to use sunscreen and avoid excessive exposure to sunlight.
Well, melanoma can be tricky. You know, it can take a lot of different paths.
But at least a year, right?
I would think.
Year and a half?
Possible.
3 to 5?
We can hope.
Okay, so now, again, these hoaxsters, again, are going to take the things that give you cancer are like the things that are the most common everyday world. Same thing with this carbon trading thing, they're like, oh, carbon is killing you, or, so now it's the sun. The sun's bad for you. I would argue till death that the sun is your life force, rather and to kill you, the sun killing you is just absolutely nonsensical and absurd. Absurd. Moving forward.
I wear sunblock so I don't get carcinomas.
Aren't they actually lying? Well, some ads don't really make any claims at all. They just seem to. Tricky wording is what does it.
That's a tricky one. My partner's cousin had melanoma.
I saw someone sunbathing naked today. She was in her backyard, but still.
Yeah, well, I hope she was wearing sunscreen because it's a lot of sensitive skin exposed.
My father's younger brother was diagnosed with malignant melanoma. He had 2 small sons, 2 and 3. And he died within 6 months. And it was fairly awful. There was just no treatment, and tumors spread everywhere. And I just never wanted to think about melanoma ever. And I guess since then I've worn a hat.
That's Mr. Foremost Molecular Biology Nobel Peace Laureate or Nobel Laureate. He's like, I wear a hat now because of the melanomas. Like that's his cure. He cured cancer. He cured cancer, but he wears a hat now. Sort of along the same lines as Osama bin Laden with the cowboy hat. These people, this is again. I mean, and the disturbing part is that guy is hailed as the man behind, in this whole thing, and doesn't have one word out of his mouth that doesn't sound absurd and ridiculous and fraudulent.
You're a fraud, and you're the most obvious fraud I've ever seen.
It's obvious to me.
The official theory maintains that cancer is a problem that originates in the human cell.
Okay, so this is coming down the back stretch now of the show. It's been a long show. I understand that. I'm sorry for those who don't have the longest attention span. I know it's not easy. I guess I would suggest sometimes you listen to some and then you could pause it or go about your business and come back and listen to the rest if it's interesting to you. This little segment is where I'm going to tie all this. So we went through where it's coming from. It's coming from eugenics laboratories and cancer, and there is nobody has any straight answers on anything to do with cancer. So now I'm going to show you a little segment where I'm going to tell you that if you switch the word cancer, and you take it out of the sentence or the discussion, and you substitute that for undesirables or black people or brown people or poor people, you will find that every word out of these people's mouths, who are supposedly doctors and physicians, but they don't speak in any type of coherent, logical medical thought process at all. But so everything is got this spin on it that it sounds like if you took the word cancer and you put in a racial or ethnic nomenclature, it would sound like a KKK meeting instead of a medical discussion about cancer. Here's a segment, and you're going to get my drift as we go. So the official theory is that cancer is a problem originating in the human cell. Okay, so cancer is a problem. You're going to have too many people. There's too many of these cells. They're spreading around all over the place. They're infecting our body here, and it's just, it's, again, picture cancer as a metaphor for, it's a metaphor, this segment. It's a metaphor for poor and undesirable populations. That's what the cancer is, okay? And I'm sorry, but the wording is clear. Keep it moving.
The official theory maintains that cancer is a problem that originates in the human cell.
Cancer is not one disease, it's actually hundreds of diseases.
Cancer begins as a departure from normal cell growth that is harmful and unceasing. If the abnormal cells grow slowly in a limited area, they are called benign tumors.
All right, if the abnormal cells grow in a limited area and they don't, bug us, they don't encroach on our convenience and our space, then they're that's cool, But if they that's benign, But if they start moving into my neighborhood, then they're malignant. Okay.
If the cells are spread to other parts of the body, they constitute a malignant tumor, one that is cancerous. Cells of malignant growths break off and travel through the bloodstream to other parts of the body. There, they may start new cancerous growths.
You see, you don't need them breaking off and moving around into good neighborhoods, And you think that I'm kidding about neighborhoods? Well, just keep it going. You're gonna see. So here's a good doctor, Dr. Eugenics Watson.
The cancer cell is just hot for growth, and so it can.
See what he talks like? It's just hot for growth. This cancer cell
run out of energy faster, and so it needs more energy than the normal cell.
Right, you see, your cancer cell's going to use up your energy. These, you see, you can't have these people, these cancer cells around because they're going to use up your energy, and they're hot for growth. They're growing and spreading, and you know they are.
Most cancer-related deaths are due to metastasis, malignant cells that penetrate into the circulatory system and establish colonies in other parts of the body.
Al-Qaeda and other extremists have metastasized into regional groups that can pose significant dangers.
Right, so Al-Qaeda is kind of a cancer. Al-Qaeda is a cell too. The terrorists are cells, and then here's and then your dog gets metastasized.
Okay, in this particular dog, he had a metastatic prostate adenocarcinoma that started here, where his prostate appears mineralized, and has metastasized now to the bones of his spinal column and his vertebrae.
The cell says, this is not a good time to grow. We shouldn't divert our energy to growing. We need it just to keep alive.
Mom, a quack is a quack, whether he comes from the South Seas or lives right here in the city.
Dr. Watson.
I have Scotch-Irish skin, and that's the worst you can have with regard to skin cancer.
He's got Scotch-Irish skin. There's Mr. Medical Authority again. And now we're going to talk about pet cancer and the golden retriever study. So now we're like blonde-haired pets and Scotch-Irish skin.
One of the best studies undergoing right now is the golden retriever longevity study.
The old golden retriever longevity study. It's a very important study for blonde-haired dogs.
And then other cancers seem to pop up in these families, such as prostate cancer, melanoma, and pancreatic cancer. And it's a very common mutation that occurs in people of Ashkenazi Jewish descent.
Okay, now it's a cancers that are targeting religion. Okay, our ideology. Well, next thing you know, there's going to be it's a cancer that attacks liberal Democrats. So now, religion is a genetic trait. Okay, Jewish Ashkenazi descent, whatever that means. And I'm supposedly a Jewish Ashkenaz. I don't even know. I have no idea, and I don't think anybody else does either, of what exactly does that mean. You kind of you figure, and I kid around. They say, if you want to cut the Jewish people in half, okay, you got because some Jewish people tell you, well, there's Sephardic and there's Ashkenaz. Those are the two sects, okay. And but I would call that to me, Sephardic and Ashkenaz is the same thing as I call it the bagel or falafel, okay? If you're Ashkenazis are bagel Jews, and Sephards are falafel Jews. That's the way I'm going to shoot it. I'm going to call it. Just a little kidding around there, but that's the way I call it.
Oh, thank you so much for your help, Dr. Jewish. I really thought we were going to lose him.
So there are only two places in the world that really uses RNA libraries well. Gulf Spring Harbor and the Dutch. Okay. The Dutch are big, but they're so pretty bright. And so they've got a good cancer, such as that.
That's Dr. Watson talking about the Dutch, and they're big, but they're bright, and there's only 2 RNA laboratories in the world. One's in Cold Spring Harbor, and the other one's in Holland. And the Dutch are big and bright, and he's Scotch-Irish, and this guy's all kinds of, like, talking about genetic traits and skin color traits, and I don't know what the hell that has to do with cancer, but he's Mr. Cancer over here.
Think about a neighborhood and think about children at risk in a neighborhood, right?
Now, this is a metaphor or an analogy, and a metaphoric analogy. She's like, you can't think of cancer as or think of your body as a neighborhood, and there's children at risk in your neighborhood. This is twisted. This is supposed to be a medical doctor talking about cancer. I don't know what the hell where's she coming from. This is what she says.
Think about a neighborhood and think about children at risk in a neighborhood, right? If you have a good home environment, chances are you're going to do your homework and grow up to be a good person, etc. But if you grow up in a bad neighborhood, there's a higher probability that you'll be exposed to drugs or gunshots or things like that. So think about it, microenvironment and the neighborhood.
Figure that one out for yourself, because that's twisted to me. Okay, moving on.
I just never wanted to think about melanoma, ever.
Okay, melanoma. Check that word out in the dictionary. It's based on the basis of the word is melanin, which is the pigment agent in your skin. Again, what does that have to do with cancer? I don't know, but they're very concerned with skin color and pigment and melanoma. And he's like, I don't even want to think about melanoma.
I know, I don't hate black people. I never even think about them.
I just never wanted to think about melanoma, ever.
I know, I don't hate black people. I never even think about them.
Now, while I'm doing my little research, they pull up one of these ads up, and this is the ad for Abilify. It's again. Now, look, what's leukemia? That's when the cancer attacks white blood cells. Isn't that convenient? Okay, so the cancers to the cancer. When I told you can substitute cancer for undesirable people or poor people or black people, and they're attacking the white people, the white cells.
Risks include decreases in white blood cells, which can be serious.
Most of these families tend to get their cancers on the right side of the colon. They look a little bit different under the microscope. They have a very inflammatory-like picture.
Okay, so the right-sided colon is inflammatory. In other words, like the right-wingers they're inflammatory. Again, we're using all kinds of weird stereotypes and racially unsavory commentary, and we're linking it into cancer discussions with scientists and doctors. These are not novelists, okay? Moving forward, and so now she's we're linking in cancer and right-sided colon, inflammatory colons.
I'm Leah Sladen from SAR High School.
And I'm Daniel Pollack from Roslyn High School, and I'll be starting at Yale this fall. We're from the Kruger Lab at Rockefeller, and we're working with our mentor Dan Garreau in the Lab of Investigative Dermatology.
The Lab of Investigative Dermatology. Okay, we're investigating your skin color again. Okay. And by the way, he says he's from Roslyn High School, which is where I went to high school, and I'm like, and he's so Queenie, and I'm like, he's going to Yale. Frankly, if you look at the video, they're on a green screen. The wall behind him is like slanted. Like I'm like, come on, guys, you could do better than that. I'm like, and that's not Rocker. He has to tell you where he is. You have to plant everything in. I'm at Rockefeller University. I'm Queenie. I'm going to Yale. I mean, and there's plenty of Ivy League schools that exalt their gay communities, okay, and I never looked at Yale as a Queenie Ivy League school, frankly. You know, if you're gonna be Queenie, you go to Amherst or Brown or Wesleyan, or if that's even an Ivy League. Or, yeah, you probably even got your Queenie ones at Harvard, but Yale was always like, you know, even if you are living in alternate sexual preference, you know, you usually, I think in Yale they're probably a little bit more on the dolo. You know, I don't know if Skull and Bones is looking fondly upon the Queenie ones. And anyway, so he's doing investigative dermatology lab at Rockefeller University. They have one of those. What is that? What is an investigate? What do you investigate? Investigative dermatology? That's a very, I don't believe that's even such a thing at all. And like I said, none of this makes any jibes at all. But anyway, and of course, then he had to tarnish my alma mater, my high school alma mater, Roslyn. Let's play that one again. This one's twisted.
I'm Leah Sladen from SAR High School.
And I'm Daniel Pollock from Roslyn High School, and I'll be starting at Yale this fall. We're from the Kruger Lab at Rockefeller, and we're working with our mentor, Dan Garreau, in the Lab of Investigative Dermatology. And basically, we're working on a project to try to distinguish on the basis of optical properties.
Distinguish on the basis of optical properties, meaning of eye, by eye. They want to distinguish by eye
the scattering patterns of melanoma cells versus other skin cells.
We're investigating the scattering patterns of melanoma cells. Okay, this thing, do it. You know, you want to say, oh, you're reading into it too much, Max. Okay, you think I am? I hardly think that at all. Like, again, you know, I'm the psycho. Why? Because I think that sounds retarded to me. I'm sorry with the R word. Ridiculous to me. Come on. That's insane, okay? And if you looked at the video, none of it's right, okay? And I'm not trying to disparage or anything to do with anybody who's gay or anything. I think freedom is for everybody. But, whatever. He's Queenie. He goes to Yale. He's starting and I'm like, what does that have to do with anything? We're over here at Rockefeller Kruger Investigative Dermatology Lab. I'm like, wow, it's some department. They have a department of investigative dermatology, and we're checking the scatter patterns of melanoma cells? Whatever.
So I'm Chris Vakich. I'm a Cold Spring Harbor Fellow. I started my lab here about 2.5 years ago, and the main focus of our research is to understand how chromatin regulatory components participate in the pathogenesis of cancer. The cancer that we've chosen to go after.
Chromatin regulatory components participate in the pathogenesis of cancer. In other words, how regulatory chromatins, whatever that symbolizes, are killing cancer cells, which is, I told you, could be substituted for brown people or poor people. Moving and again, and not only that, but like, do they have any old scientists in these places that are credible at all, or just young kids? And the one psycho at the top, Watson, who got kicked out of Cold Spring Harbor. I mean, it's pretty hard to do for being racist. when it's a racist, when it's a eugenicist office. But that's all nonsense too. Moving forward, so Chris Rockage, he's investigating pathogenesis, pathology of killing of melanoma cells.
There is a cancer of white blood cells called acute myeloid leukemia.
And the old white blood cells thing again has got a problem. You know, we can't have these people cancerizing our white blood cells, man. That's for sure.
We may lose the war against poverty, but we'll win the war against cancer. You know, basically, obesity has been held in check by poverty. And so the only way we won't have obesity is poverty.
That's just twisted. That's your Dr. Watson again. Nothing. He's just every word out of this guy's mouth is twisted.
And it's good to know that, you know, you can screen for almost any type of a cancer if you know what to look for and you know who to look for it in.
Okay, do what you want with that. Again, the innuendo is clear to me. I don't know. You want to tell me again? Oh, I don't see what you're saying. Okay.
How and where the migrating cells stop is different for different cancer types. Once the tumor cells are no longer moving, they can begin the process of forming a new tumor by leaving the blood vessel and beginning to reproduce in the new location. If the new environment is suitable, the newly arrived cell will begin to grow and a new tumor will develop.
You don't want them moving into your neighborhood.
Cells are like a population. They're born, they do their function, and then they fade away.
Thank you, Doctor. Is that twisted enough for you? Yeah, they do their function and they fade away. That's what the slaves are supposed to do.
Cells are like a population. They're born, they do their function, and then they fade away. They're supposed to do that. If the cells of your body didn't die, you'd be in big trouble.
And I think we can win the war in 10 years. We will know how to do it. It won't mean that everyone will be treated correctly. But if you're in the right place and had the right drug.
When you feel a cancer, a breast cancer or a skin cancer or anything, when you feel a cancer in your body, this is what you're feeling. It's not the actual cancer, it's the cells around the cancer that are making this excess collagen. It's called extracellular matrix. Okay?
Called extracellular matrix razzle dazzle.
The ideas, the thoughts, and the opinions of the masses are being manipulated through fear.
Coming down the backstretch of this show, it's been a long one. I'm wrapping it up. I'm going to put it all together for you.
Sheeple is what they are. They are following the Judas goat right into the shearing pins, and from there they will go to the slaughter, and they will not know that anything is wrong until they smell the blood of the sheeple in front of them.
The digits, your hands, when you're in the womb, this is a paddle, and there's programmed death between the fingers that actually give you your digits. So death is a good thing in the body. It carves out your hands and your toes and several other things.
Okay, that's a doctor again. She said your hands in the womb, in the embryo or whatever, are like a paddle, and what happens is the cells in between your fingers die, and that's how your fingers are formed. I bet you and the doctor's gonna be like, "Yo, that's true." I'm like, whatever, whatever.
Members of the Senate, members of the House, ladies and gentlemen, we are here today for the purpose of signing the Cancer Act of 1971. And I hope that in the years ahead that we may look back on this day and this action as being the most significant action taken during this administration. It could be, because when we consider what cancer does each year in the United States, we find that more people each year die of cancer in the United States than all the Americans who lost their lives in World War II.
That was President Nixon on the cancer initiative he started in 1971.
Sooner or later, the people in this country are going to realize the government does not give a fuck about them. Government doesn't care about you or your children or your rights or your welfare or your safety. It simply doesn't give a fuck about you. It's interested in its own power. That's the only thing, keeping it and expanding it wherever possible.
Right, your health, they don't give a shit about that. And Nixon's telling you that he does is a tip-off that it's a hoax.
And I want to say this to the television audience. I made my mistakes. But in all of my years of public life,
I am not a dictator. I'm the president.
And I want to say this to the television audience. I made my mistakes. But in all of my years of public life, I have never profited from public service. I've earned every cent. And in all of my years of public life, I have never obstructed justice. And I think, too, that I can say that in my years of public life, that I welcome this kind of examination, because people have got to know whether or not their president is a crook. Well, I'm not a crook. I've earned everything I've got.
I am not a dictator. I'm the president.
Aren't they actually lying? Well, some ads don't really make any claims at all. They just seem to. Tricky wording is what does it.
Leukemia? How can they just tell you have cancer? Well, maybe they're wrong.
Are those the test results?
Yeah. And you have leukemia.
That sucks.
Yeah.
Last week, my cat was diagnosed with feline leukemia. And then yesterday, I dropped my iPhone into the toilet while I was video chatting with a client.
There you go.
Janice has got leukemia, cementhead! That's cancer! Have you ever heard of cancer? She's been in the hospital and she's had chemotherapy to help her get better! And it makes her hair fall out! Does that make you happy? Would you like to go through what she's gone through? Think about it! Or don't you ever think about anything?
That's your Charlie Brown again, in some twisted hip-hop-y type vibe where he's yelling at another kid. Again, it's just very bizarre, and that's where what Charlie Brown has come to.
You seem a little young to be a doctor.
Technically, I'm not a doctor yet. I'm actually working on my doctorate.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, this is a training hospital.
I see.
The fear machine is well oiled by petrochemical dollars and a near worldwide monopoly in healthcare. It works overtime to prevent the truth.
The main element here that we have to deal with is the fact that fear is what's driving a lot of people, okay?
That's for sure. And, yeah, I'm coming down to the, I'm giving you a small segment on pet cancer, and it's going to be a show. And I'm going to try to give you a little summary and wrap things up again. But let's just power through the next couple of clips, and we'll see if we can't wrap this up.
The ideas, the thoughts, and the opinions of the masses are being manipulated through fear.
That's for sure. Coming down the back stretch, let's check into pet cancer or something for a second here.
60% of all dogs older than 6 will get cancer during their lifetime. Treatments which were once only options for humans, such as surgery, chemotherapy, and radiation, are now available for dogs.
60% of all dogs above the age of 6, which is pretty much, so they're trying to tell you, like, if your dog's over 6, like, buck up 10 grand and we'll give them some cancer treatments. Just absolutely insane again, and I'm sorry, folks. I know you love your dogs and your cats and your pets, but this is insane. It's not a thing to do it, and all they can do is injure your dog and hurt them, or just give them nothing and tell you because with the dog they take him in the back room and they come out like, okay, we fixed him for you. Who knows what they do? I know some a woman who told me she spent 4 digits on cat asthma. I know another person who spent 5 digits on liver cancer for his dog. This is insanity. Moving forward.
My name is Dr. Jerry Post. I am a veterinary oncologist, and this is the Veterinary Cancer Center in Norwalk, Connecticut.
Connecticut has a veterinary dog and cat cancer center.
Sadly, 1 in 4 dogs over the age of 2 will die from cancer. Our feline friends are also equally affected by this illness.
What do you mean over the age of 2? That's everybody. That's every dog. So they're saying one in every 4 dogs dies of cancer also, whatever.
I'm Dr. Kill Patient from the Board of Health. Where's the contaminated rabbit at?
Not only did he make history as the first pig to receive lymphoma treatment, but the treatment was successful.
We got a pig that received lymphoma treatment. Isn't that believable? Okay, and it's the first pig ever to get lymphoma treatment.
Veterinary oncology deals with the diagnosis and the treatment of cancer in animals. Cancer is the #1 medical concern of pet owners, and it is the leading cause of death in older cats and dogs.
Pet cancer is a leading cause of death in older cats and dogs. Isn't that a pity? I know, maybe I'm insensitive to your cute little dog. And you know what, though? I'm not insensitive. I'm like, don't mutilate him or mangle him or inject him with chemicals or not, or let the doctor fleece you for something that he's not doing to your dog. Just come on. I had pets my whole life, and they lived a long, like every other pet lives, till 14. My dog lived to 14, 15 years old or whatever. That's it. He wasn't like suffering from cancer down the line, down at the end of the line. It was nothing like that. But now people have surgeries, and their dog. I see people with dogs limping around, and none of them ever look better. They always look worse. Because again, like what do you mean surgery? What do you have to cut out of me to make me better? Especially if, like, with their leg or something. I'm like, I'm pretty sure you need your knees and your ligaments. It's not, you're not cutting anything out to improve it. Moving forward.
So we removed the leg, and she has been pain-free ever since because that leg was very painful. So she actually feels better with the leg off.
Okay, so they cut the dog had pain in her leg, so they're like, well, we cut the leg off, now she's no pain in it anymore. I mean, that's a no-brainer also. Like I said, I mean, if you get a headache, just cut your head off. That'll solve that problem. Just cut it off. Okay, so you know what? I'm at the end of the line here. I'm at the end of this show, folks. So let me see if I can do a quick wrap up here. I see no evidence that there's any nobody has any real explanation or any definition of what cancer is. If you want, I'll read it quick. Wikipedia. I just searched cancer. Known medically as a malignant neoplasm. Again, when I'm starting, I'm like, don't start with the first word as I have to start looking up words already. Is a broad group of diseases involving unregulated cell growth. It's a broad group of diseases, cancer. And cancer cells, because it's anything and everything. We can customize our fear monger wherever way you like it, as long as we can get you into the operating room or on the chemo program or whatever, or the radiation room, and charge your insurance or you lots of money. Cells divide and grow uncontrollably. Again, here's that racial thing. Forming malignant tumors and invade nearby parts. They invade your fucking neighborhood, parts of your body. The cancer may also spread into more distant parts of the body. Yeah, you gotta be careful. You gotta watch these cancers. Okay, because they can, if you take your eye off them for a second, they'll get spread into, your neighborhood or something like that. Anyway, so it's a very vague and twisted, racially based, and that's not a surprise because the cancers and all these things were developed and not developed, but discovered at the eugenics laboratories. So isn't that a coincidence? I wonder why. That's funny that a eugenics laboratory would discover racially based fearmongers that they call cancers, and then to use to exterminate people, mangle people, fleece people. It is so evil and sick. It's beyond control. And I know you can get mad at me all you want, but I'm breaking it down for you folks. That's why it's called the Max Ratt Deconstruction Zone. I think I made my point here. You got vaccines for cancer. None of it has any basis in truth or fact or science or evidence of any kind at all. If you find some, let me tell me, because I don't see any. And they're going to glorify the doctors as Superman and this and that. That's a show. It's been a long one. Thanks for listening. We question cancer all throughout the show. I'd like to hear some other people's point of view on it, but I've never seen anything, anybody even mentioning any of these questions in any other show, so I'm glad I did it. Thanks for coming aboard. Thanks for listening to the Max Ratt Deconstruction Zone. We question cancer for almost 4 hours today. That's a show. That's a wrap. I'm Max Ratt. Over and out. I'm just going to play some clips and I'm out of here. Thanks again.
I can't do this all on my own. No, I know I'm no Superman.
That was from Scrubs' theme song, by the way. Thanks for coming aboard. Max Ratt, over and out.
Wallowing in racist conspiracy theories and the insane American movement and nutty fringe subculture that nurtures those theories.
Let us never tolerate outrageous conspiracy theories.
I never apologize for anything that I say on stage, but I do want you to know before I go that I do not think that cancer is funny, and I was not making light of anything that any of you have gone through, either personally or with someone that you love. I was talking exclusively about myself and how I found humor in it.
If I don't come back, you tell Mother I love her.
Your mother's dead, Llewellyn.
Well, then I'll tell her myself.
And you can always follow me on Twitter.